Got the mute button, things that makes him strong. User mics on science, cause he knows he's wrong. Peppermill and butt plugs on his nightstand glow. Creepy cam on his future wife, like that's a healthy show. Earth measures fake, yeah sure it does. Science is fake, cause Nathan says it was. Dollar store cult leader with his insults, cheap arguments weaker than the company he keeps. You got my balls in your mouth, that's your greatest line. I'm glad your kids now think that language is fine. Cash fall down, go boom boom, yeah go scream that real loud. Telling lies on YouTube, way to make your family proud. Slaps his kid on stream to silence her cry. Calls Dave a troll, no woman would try. Obsessed with numbers, but can't do the math. Screaming pseudoscience, talking out of his ass. She can't prove it's real, the stars prove it's flat. Sextons don't work on balls, and that's a fact. Vindictive, childish insults on loop. The echo chamber leader of a deluded truth. You've got my balls in your mouth, that's how you win debates. You're a dishonest grifter spreading nonsense and hate. Cast fall down, go boom boom, Nathan's brain on repeat. Debates like playground fights, except with more defeat. New button warrior, coward in disguise, screaming at real science, spewing nothing but lies. Oh, every time he talks, the evidence bends. Only in his mind where logic You've got my balls in your mouth, that's your lasting claim. A monument to nonsense, a YouTube shame. Gas fall down, go boom boom, echoes through the night. Nathan Oakley forever wrong, but never right. Never right.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. Welcome to MCToon Live, the channel where it's always Tuesday. And that was Nathan Oakley's the song "Dollar Store Cult Leader" by Harnold. Harnold, who's in the chat right now. Harnold, if you want to pop your link to your channel, we'll watch it. I'll link it in, and people can go sub. And wow. And you know what's best about that? My favorite part of that is the hero of that video is Arwen. Shredding on the guitar. Oh, so good. All right. So tonight I'm going to go over a little bit of what he claims, what the good old Nathan Oakley claims, and and show some of the cult tactics that he uses. But now I do have, before that, there's Harnold. There it is, his link. I'll pin that. Hold on, pin. There we go. So Jay Donachie, who's in the chat also, sent me a box of some stuff, and I emailed him a link. He was going to come on, and Jay already has the link in the email. So when you're ready, you can come on, and I got, it's right here. It's right there. So, all right. I will start this by I mean, it's a spoiler. It's certainly a spoiler to show that to go over what Nathan claims. One of his key claims that he will repeat over and over and over. And of course, repetition is a huge part of the cult leader's tactics. So he claims Earth is measured flat. And so I'm going to test that claim. I'm actually going to bring some measurements that I've personally done, and we're going to test the claim about whether or not the Earth does measure flat. But first, I need to read Addicted to Globing for $10 says, following identity theft, I've been unable to super chat, so this is a test. Looks like it worked. And it appears that everything is good. Toon, McKeegan, and Jaron, you guys have my support. Again, give the Flerfs hell. Hell they will receive. Wicked Pissa says, could it be you're my Papa Globy? If you want. It doesn't have the flair of Papa Flerf, but okay. And then Addicted to Globing again comes in and says, go get the Flerfs. Toon, love you, buddy. Love you too. Right back at you. So, okay, so Oakley will claim over and over and over Earth is measured flat. He specifically references elevation angles, and he will say elevation angles require hold on a second. Hold on. See, Dick Wayne, I was going to come to your defense, Dick Wayne, but you didn't need to do that. Right? If you stay on topic, you're not going to have trouble, Dick Wayne, but that kind of stuff, don't do that. Anyway, Nathan will claim flat Earth elevation angles. He'll say that, and he'll say it's a necessity, right? And so what he's saying is that he's claiming that it is not possible, according to him, to measure an angle at all if you are on the surface of a globe, which of course isn't correct at all. You can measure things from there's all sorts of ways to measure things. I have a video that I did. I'm not going to play it at the moment. I'll get it queued up before too long. But I'll just I got me some paper here. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to test his hypothesis, right? He's made the claim, but he provides no supporting evidence for it. So it is a hypothesis. It matches the criteria for a hypothesis. It's something that's testable, and it is something that can make predictions. So here we go. Here is the flat Earth. Now, I live in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area, and I am at 45 degrees north latitude approximately. And I measured the angle to Polaris many times, and I get 45 degrees with a very tiny variation. So we'll say 45 degrees plus, with a 1/2 of a degree margin of error. So we're not going to do a margin of error analysis on this. It would be a bit cumbersome. Now at 45 degrees north latitude, I am 5,000 kilometers from the North Pole. That is known because, in fact, the distance, the kilometer was defined based on the distance between the North Pole and the equator to be 10,000. So, and I'm at 45 degrees north, so that's halfway. Easy. 5,000 kilometers. So I'll write that down. All right. 5,000 kilometers. Now, I measure an angle of 45 degrees to Polaris. I was going to get out my angleometer. I don't actually need the angleometer because I can use the lengthometer here and draw a 45, 45, 90 triangle, right? Now, he has said elevation angles to Polaris. Now, this is a claim of geometry. When you make claims of geometry, it's nice because we can test claims of geometry by applying geometry. So the measurement I took is 45 degrees, right? Right there. And directly then above the North Pole would be, according to Nathan Oakley, this is a diagram of the measurement, the flat Earth angle measurement, according to Nathan Oakley, at 45 degrees north latitude. Now, what does that mean when we do this geometry, right? He likes to talk about geometry. In fact, I can hear, let's listen to him talk about geometry. Oh, hold on. It's Flather. I gotta unmute it. It's playing in my ear right now. All right. Here we go. One more time. Here we go. Listen to him.
Confirmed they're assessing it with level and plumb holding true when they do flat Earth geometry, Euclidean geometry, not sphere Earth geometry.
Okay, so I will do flat Earth Euclidean geometry, not sphere Earth geometry. Okay, so now this is, according to Nathan Oakley, this is the triangle that now gets constructed because it's an angle to a flat Earth, according to him, flat Earth elevation angle to Polaris, right there. And since it's 45 degrees here, I should write that down. Now, Euclidean geometry is not all that difficult. That is a 45, 45, 90 triangle, meaning that the elevation of Polaris now must be 5,000 kilometers. This is Nathan's claim. Okay, this is Euclidean geometry, elevation angle, flat Earth to Polaris. Polaris has to be 5,000 kilometers high. This is Nathan's claim. Further to Nathan's claim, he says that it is circles of equal altitude at 45 degrees north latitude. So that means that everywhere at 45 degrees north latitude is the same angle to Polaris. That's a circle of equal altitude. So he has just described this map right here, where Polaris is in the center, and then everywhere at 45 degrees north latitude is a circle of equal altitude. Everybody gets that same circle. So he's describing that Polaris is in the center of this circle. Same thing at 30 degrees north latitude, 10 degrees north latitude. These are concentric circles according to the Euclidean geometry that Nathan is putting forward. So now we've got 45, 45, 90 mandatory flat Earth elevation, Euclidean geometry being applied that the Polaris must be 5,000 kilometers high. And the reason why I'm doing kilometers is because this is science. Science. You should do science in kilometers. If you're going to drive to your grandma's house, do it in miles. But if you're going to do science, do it in kilometers. Anyway, it's 3,000, just over 3,000 miles. It's okay. It doesn't really matter because what we're going to do is now we're going to do the same thing. I've been to Florida, and I've measured the angle to Polaris, and assuming Nathan Oakley's again, his claims of Euclidean geometry. Let me see here. So, yep, in Florida, where I was at, 30 degrees north latitude. Okay? So, in Florida, 30 degrees north latitude. Okay, I'm going to draw the same diagram. Right, here we go, Nathan. Now this one of these tactics of the cult members is that they claim everybody else is wrong. They claim that. So now we've got the North Pole here, North Pole, and we've got Polaris is up there somewhere right now. In at 30 degrees north latitude, you won't believe it, the elevation of Polaris was 30 degrees. So I'll get out the angelometer here, right? And I'm going to set it to 30 degrees, and I'm going to draw a line right here at 30 degrees. Okay, there's that. It's not absolutely, this is for demonstration more than for measuring. We're not going to measure this, but there we go. We got 30 degrees. We got 90 there. Now, can anybody tell me what this angle is right here? Doesn't matter too much. But so here's what we know now. We know the distance across the surface of the Earth because the length of the kilometer was defined using the distance between the North Pole and the equator. So we know in kilometers is it's going to be the number of degrees latitude times 60 nautical miles. And then we can convert to kilometers, right? So it's actually 60 degrees times 60 nautical miles, which is 3,600 nautical miles. And convert. Oh no. All right, hold on. My the calculator on the Mac, they changed. It used to be different. Uh-oh. Nathan, you're going to love this number. All right, there we are. 6,667 kilometers. Must be Nathan Oakley's favorite number. So that's the distance from Florida, where I was, to the North Pole. This isn't something that is that people question. This is part of the definition of how the kilometer was defined, right? So now we've got a 30, 90, and 60 degree triangle. And now we can solve that triangle. This is Euclidean geometry, right? What kind of geometry does Nathan accept?
Confirmed they're assessing it with level and plumb holding true when they do flat earth geometry, Euclidean geometry, not sphere earth geometry.
All right. Let's give it a shot, Nathan, as you wish. So we've got the distance across that surface there, 6,667. And we've got now we don't know the height yet. We do know the angle. We know the distance and we know the angle. And so we're going to test using Nathan's claim to see if Euclidean geometry works. So now when we solve that triangle, we get 3,849 kilometers. Okay. So here we go. There it is. So this is applying Nathan's claim of Euclidean geometry. So we've taken his claim, flat earth elevation angle, right? And then to Polaris, flat earth elevation angle to Polaris. And we know that distance. This is a known across the surface of the Earth. Unfortunately, though, the height of Polaris now for the same day, at the same exact moment, is now 3,849 kilometers, where if you're in Minneapolis area, it's 5,000 kilometers. Okay, so now we've tested Nathan's hypothesis. It is incorrect. His claim is incorrect. We've used flat Earth elevation angles and we've used Euclidean geometry. Yeah, I can do that, icy spin. So there's his claim put to the test, and it is demonstrably false. I'm a demonstrable realist. It is false. No doubt Nathan Oakley is incorrect about his claim. Now, does he know that he's incorrect about it? I believe he does know that he's incorrect about it. He knows that this Euclidean geometry that he claims does not work. He knows that, I think. I think he knows that. I think that probably an awful lot of people that are in elementary school could figure this out. Certainly when you're in middle school, the geometry that you're taught in middle school would definitely be able to figure out that this doesn't work. So I think Nathan Oakley understands that this is impossible, and that he is catering his cult leadership to people that do not have this basic kind of understanding of Euclidean geometry. Now, he does maybe put in some things and say, well, the geometry of celestial objects doesn't match Euclidean geometry. Well, then all of his claims of Euclidean geometry are now out the door. It's either Euclidean geometry or it's not Euclidean geometry. You can't, in one case, claim it's Euclidean geometry, and then when it goes to applying the Euclidean geometry, you can't say, well, it doesn't work for Euclidean geometry. So he's kind of painted himself in a corner. So every single time he says flat Earth elevation angles to Polaris, this is what he's talking about. It is false. Also, this is the map that he's talking about. When he says that, you'll hear him talk about circles of equal altitude around Polaris. This is what you get when you assert or claim or hypothesize that there are first flat Earth and then circles of equal altitude measuring elevation angles to Polaris. This is the only map that matches that. No other map matches that claim. None. Now, then the final part is he claims, you'll hear him claim, flat Earth elevation angles to Polaris is how you get latitudes. But he does not provide any explanation for how you are supposed to get your latitude measuring the angle to Polaris when you are south of the equator, because you don't see Polaris at 20 degrees south. He does not state that ever. So when he claims that these things, we know it's false. When he says there is geometry, that he has the actual geometry for it, I just did the actual geometry for it. It doesn't work. So you'll notice, though, he never actually provides this geometry. Now, let me go through a couple tactics that cultists use while Jay Donachie is coming in here. Cultists use isolation. They isolate the people. Now, Flat Earth isn't a cult in the sense where you go join them physically in person. But the people that join Flat Earth have already experienced isolation because so many of them are already socially ostracized, or in their family, they're ostracized. They already struggle in that sense. But once they get into Flat Earth, they get significantly more isolation because because Flat Earthers tend to not be able to talk about anything else. And when they're talking to their family members, that's all they talk about. And so then they get even more isolation from that. They use information control. So information control is don't go watch. these other people's videos. So when Divergent Droid did a video demanding a bunch of evidence for the globe, and I did a response video directly to him, directly providing all of the things that he specifically asked for, in the comments on his video, he specifically stated that he will not come look at my video. That's information control. They do not let, Oakley doesn't want Divergent Droid to look at my channel and look at the actual evidence that I provided. That's a no-no according to the cult leader. And Divergent Droid, being a good cult member, doesn't do that. He will not watch my video. Repetitive indoctrination, and Oakley is the best at this of all the flat earthers. Every show that he does, he has this same script that he runs. You'll see it in the video, how many times he repeats the same thing. Us versus them mentality. Again, us versus, they love the us versus them, right? The flat earthers claim, Oakley will claim, he's the only one that has the truth, and they are trying to censor him. Sleep deprivation is, again, something that you do, that they do if you're physically with the cult members. But almost every time I've had somebody come on the show and talk about how they found out about flat earth, the story is almost always the same. They heard about it and then they tried to debunk it. And that's code for they watched every single flat earth video they could for as long as they could until they exhausted the amount of flat earth videos they could find. And when they couldn't debunk it, which they weren't trying to debunk it, they were just watching more flat earth videos, then they just had to accept it. What this means is they were sleep deprived. They became obsessed with it. And in their sleep deprivation, they watched all the videos they could. So financial exploitation, you'll hear that from Oakley for sure. And there's a couple others that they use, but flat earth doesn't quite perfectly apply. But I'm going to invite Jay Donachie on right now, because we've got a certain package from him right here. Oh, you got to turn down the YouTube. Yeah, it's feeding back. All right, welcome, Jay.
Why can't I see you?
Oh, yeah. Oh, you can. You should be able to.
I mean, I can't. Oh,
yeah, I'm sending my video.
hold on.
I can't see you though.
All right, no, join.
Well, yeah, you're already in the Zoom call.
Yeah, but it's a blank screen and a yellow or orange thing, and then three blue screen things. Share screen? No,
you don't need to do
Join?
anything.
Join?
You're already joined.
Okay. Why is it just showing a black screen?
I don't know. Hold on. I'll change.
Oh,
what
there's a meeting. You want me to hit the meeting one?
you're already in the meeting.
Oh.
Yeah, I can see myself. I'll show everybody at home. There's the Zoom call. I don't know why you wouldn't be able to see me. Wait, Harnold's comment?
Schedule, share screen. Share screen? No, you don't have to do that.
No.
Back.
I have no idea why. Harnold says, on his stream, he said he takes over the living room in their 2-bedroom apartment and his family's in the back bedroom staying quiet while he yells obscenities and smokes in the house. Yep. We're gonna play through his stuff here. So are you on a phone?
Well, I'm on my tablet.
On your tablet. Okay, so you probably need to have the Zoom app in the front. Is it in the front?
Well, there's an orange thing that says back to the meeting.
Oh, try that, I guess.
Yeah, there we go. I see you.
Okay.
Why isn't there a picture in the screen of me?
Of you? Oh, because you didn't have your camera on. Here, I can.
I thought I had my camera on.
Yeah, hold on.
Oh, here it is. I got it now.
There we go.
That's cool.
Oh, it says Eric Burns. I got to fix that.
You guys don't have to adjust your screen. I'm not Chris from Westchester County. Okay. I do have bad teeth because for Willie, you know, I chipped my teeth when I was 12 years old, and they're starting to come out. My two front teeth.
Oh.
This one here is fake.
I was in college. I was working on a. I was working. It doesn't matter where, but I was working, and I ran into something, like I just cracked real hard into something. I chipped my teeth, and for a couple years I had it chipped, and then I had the dentist fix it eventually. So, all right,
okay.
I've got.
They do kind of look like veneers in the front there.
Mine do?
Yeah, they kind of look like veneers.
They're not. It's just like the face of these two. Okay.
Oh, okay.
I got this big box.
I was worried about it getting to you because I forgot to check the address.
Yeah, it's the right address.
I know. I just forgot to check it, and I worried about it if it would have got to you.
Yeah. All right. So I got it.
Okay. I got them in order. I got the ones in order. There's like a white one on the top that's I got them marked first and then all the way to the last.
Open first. All right.
You got it?
I got the open first.
Cool.
First.
All right, yeah, that's a good one for you for education wise.
Always keep the blade handy.
Right. Yeah, they're in order, like to kind of cool to
super cool. So this is
yeah.
it's a library, a bunch of books on a.
Yeah. You like books, so.
I do. That's cool.
You know what I was thinking cool if that was a mug that had to change the colors.
Yeah.
And then it would if it would turn hot, it would be all straight, and then when it's cold, it would have all the books disoriented and unstacked, and wouldn't it be cool?
That'd be cool.
Like as you're drinking, the books are all done. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That'd be cool, wouldn't it? I'm not saying that. That's
no. Yeah, that'd be a cool idea for one. Yeah. All right. Open second.
Now this one here was higher up on the totem, but then I got it and it was small. It was too small, and I was kind of disappointed in it. But it's cool though. I think you might like it.
It's Popeye.
Yeah, Popeye. It's just a little bit small, you know.
It is, and it's not very deep.
Right. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. That's why it's second.
That's what she said.
That's why it's the second one. But I don't think we can just have it as an ornament.
Here we go. It's 2.5 inches.
Yeah. Just like an ornament.
Be sure to clip.
It's like 8 ounces.
Be sure to clip that, people.
I mean, you could just have it as just an ornament.
Yeah. Well, you can put something a little.
The third one, I think you'll get a kick out of.
You
that
can
one.
put something really strong in here because then there won't be as much of it.
Right there you go.
Right there you go.
Right. Tequila, you'd be 2 sheets of the wind.
I'd be gone. Tequila, yeah, not good. All right, open third.
Now this one's a funny one. This one, I think you get a kick out of.
My brain has too many tabs open. 4 of them are frozen, and I have no idea where the music is coming from.
You got tabs. You drink tabs, so.
Right here.
I thought you could
hold on. Let me open. Hold on. Oh. All right, I gotta open the tab. I got that. Here's what I do. I take the unopened tab and then I open it, but you never see me open it.
Right.
You only hear me open it, and then I pick
Right.
up an open can of tab. Oh, look at that! How did I do that? And then here we go. I got this ready actually for tonight. Some ice. It's fused. There we go. Put it there. You're seeing a little behind the scenes here, right?
Yeah.
And then off screen, this happens. And I do it right next to the microphone and I watch the levels to make sure it doesn't sound like Riley was cutting a whiz.
Yeah.
Bruce Wayne says, "You're probably good at math. Can you solve this? 16 plus 20 equals 25, but there's X on each of them, right? 16X plus 20X equals 25. I think that's one of those trick questions, isn't it? I don't know.
Oh.
Anyway, that's what I do. And then yeah. What kind of beverage is that? Says Ashton. This is Zevia. It's sweetened with stevia, and this is creamy root beer flavor.
That's cool.
Which
I thought it was alcohol or something.
no, which is clear. So when I
Right.
put it in a jar, if I put it in here, then it still looks like Toon Shine. So
Well,
yeah.
cool.
Fun fact: Toon Shine is water or sugar-free pop. Okay.
Right.
Open fourth.
Yeah, this is a cool one. It's good for beer.
Wow.
Or
Awesome.
Toon Shine. It'd be for beer and Toon Shine.
I'll just fill it to the top with the foam is a
I
little.
couldn't hear you. Cut out there for a minute.
Hold on. Hold on. The foam is just falling apart.
Yeah, it's terrible. Yeah.
All right. There's little foam bits everywhere. Okay.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. I've had worse. There you go. Can jump in this and go over Niagara Falls.
Is that cool?
Yeah.
That is cool.
That's a biggin. That's
Yeah, that's a good size one.
That's what she said.
Yeah, I forgot the real looking metal, like the strap, the hoops around the
Yeah.
barrels. You know,
This is metal here, and then this is
Right.
yeah,
the fake metal.
made
Yeah,
to look like it. That's cool. All right,
that'd be good for beer.
it would.
That they said that was a beer mug
Well,
when I bought it.
I put root beer in it, so
There you go.
what was that? That was 4.
4.
I need 5. There it is. Here's 5. Open 5th.
Yeah, this one I was kind of not too happy about either, but because it was smaller, it wasn't as good quality and it was smaller, but it's still cool.
Oh no, it's really cool. What are you talking about?
It's what you're about.
It's a
It's all about
globe.
what you're about.
There you go.
Yeah, the original one was a lot better looking. They tricked me. They gave me a different one.
Yeah, it's similar in the depth to the Popeye one, but
Yeah,
That's
a little bit. Yeah,
I mean it looks great on a shelf.
that's cool.
So, all right, open 6.
Another funny one.
Says the Cube Earth Society because flat Earth is just stupid. I have a shirt that I've worn out. I think I threw it out. That said the same thing. So perfect.
Oh, that's cool.
That's perfect. Yeah, because
That's cool.
yeah. Seriously, the shirt I wore it a lot.
Yeah. Oh, I love the next one.
All right, here
It's
comes
funny.
7.
Yeah, this is gonna be funny.
Oh, this one came upside down. It must be Australian. I fixed it. It says
You got it's not upside down. You gotta turn it around.
there it is. I'll let you read the first there, everybody, yourselves. Something show a supervisor says noun, a problem-solving expert who fixes issues that no one can figure out. It's a little hard to read. I don't have a lot of light in the room here, so that's
Sorry
part
about
of it. It's my fault. 2, a person whose job it is to organize the chaos that's created on a daily basis. See also miracle worker
And superhero.
and superhero. Very nice.
You're my debunking superhero.
And it's a mug, like a coffee mug.
Yeah, you can use that. That'll probably interchange with a couple of those mugs. I don't know.
Yes. Well, every day, almost every day when I go to work, I much to my wife's disappointment, I'm like, I'm gonna bring some coffee with me, and so I, put basically what's left of the coffee into a mug and bring it with me. She's like,
Right.
You drank all the coffee. I'm like, we got more. I'll make it.
Now the next one here, you got to make sure you don't put it next to your Hamburg one, your Hamburg mug.
My hamburger, right there.
Yeah, you can't put them together because you end up getting a chunk out of that.
All right. Get it. What is it?
Yeah.
Hold on. Now I gotta think. What is it? Is it a Pac-Man?
No, sort of. You'll
All right.
a lot more vicious than that.
More vicious than Pac-Man. It's a T-Rex. Oh my goodness. That is super. Like, wow.
That looks really cool.
That is.
It's a pretty good size mug too. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not real big, but
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's a nice one. It's got I don't know how they did that, but it's got like,
I know it's cool.
hello. Oh, I'm being handed a cat. Look at this.
You're being handed a baby.
Baby. Hello, baby kitty. This is a raccoon.
Oh, that's the cool one.
Yeah, she's super chill.
That's the kind one.
Yeah. She also catches mice. The other day,
Cool.
I wake up. I'm walking out of the room. My wife's in front of me. She's like, "There's a mouse on the floor," and
Oh no.
in the hallway, and I look. I go, and she's sitting there next to the mouse, proud as can
Yeah, they
be.
give you it's a gift for you.
Yeah, what's in front of her door, right? Because whenever she leaves the house, she doesn't come back with successful hunt.
I'm not always gets your treats at least.
Yeah, but you never successfully hunt, and so she's bringing you back. Because you're a bad hunter, she's bringing you food.
Well, you guys aren't good hunters either, and she doesn't bring you stuff.
I know, and I think your mom is very happy that she doesn't bring mice to her door.
Your door. You guys are married.
Yeah. All right.
She's a good girl.
Thank you. All right. You good?
So do you like them?
These are awesome.
Cool.
Oh yeah. Okay. So let's go review them quick here. We got the supervisor.
Yeah, I know you
Something show
got work
supervisor.
to do.
What's that?
I know you got work to do. Well, that's cool. Though.
There you go. My brain has too many tabs open.
Right.
The Globe. Popeye. I think I like Popeye a lot. That's pretty cool.
cool.
This is Donkey Kong. That's what this is. It's like a Donkey Kong barrel.
Donkey Kong barrel. I
Right?
never thought about that. Yeah.
Yeah, we got the library books. It doesn't come out on camera as well because it's, like I said, it's dark in here.
If
And
you know
then,
Donkey Kong, you gotta be at least 49 years old.
just 13 actually.
Yeah, you keep saying that. I'm thinking you're like 47.
I'm using Flat Earther math. Cube Earth Society.
Yeah, Cuba. That's cool.
Awesome. Well, I'll have a mug for every day of the week.
Cool. All right, I guess I'll let you go.
All right.
I know you have work to do. Thank you.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Cool.
All right.
Talk to you later.
Okay. Bye. All right. Buck Sodbuster. Buck Sod. Yep. I'll go. You know what? Buck Sodbuster will be coming up in a little bit here. He will. So I need to grab, let's see, is there any more prep that I need for those that are uninitiated? Oh yeah, Icy Spin was asking for a quick description of what happened with the trip to Antarctica. So, I've got another cat.
Turtle is screaming and jealous. He wants attention.
He does?
Yeah.
Did you want attention, Turtle?
Hold him upside down and hear meow.
He's not meowing.
No,
There he
not
goes.
for me. You're not
There we
holding
go.
him upside down enough.
He's not angry enough.
He's just a happy little boy.
Okay. That's rare for an orange cat. All right.
A little water stealer.
All right.
Alright.
So, Nathan Oakley and the trip to Antarctica. So, the trip to Antarctica, flat earthers have been saying for many years that Antarctica, you can't. They said you can't go. They said that the 24-hour sun does not work in Antarctica. Nathan Oakley declared such. That he said, Nathan Oakley said, you cannot go. They will turn you away at gunpoint. He said, there is no 24-hour sun. And he had somebody on the show that did not say there was no 24-hour sun. But Nathan put the words in his mouth. That's because this is Nathan Oakley's map. There are videos still on his channel right now today with this map on a projector behind him. Every single time he talks about elevation angles to Polaris, this is the map that he is declaring to be his map. So, since he declared that Antarctica, that the 24-hour sun doesn't exist in Antarctica and it does not work for flat Earth, then what better way to test your claim than to go there? Well, it's expensive to go, but he was offered a free trip, an all expense paid trip to Antarctica. And what did he do? He turned it down. The reason why he turned it down is because he knew that if he tested his claims, they would be shown to be false. And then his grift would be done. So, based on his claim about getting turned away at gunpoint, when I was in Antarctica, and while he was doing a live stream, I jumped into his Discord server, and he brought me onto the show, where I asked him, right, I confronted him about his claims about guns. He wouldn't talk about his claims about guns. Instead, he wanted to talk about elevation angles, which I just showed are wrong. And I'm going to do one more elevation angle test, according to Nathan Oakley's claims. We're going to apply his claims in one more test. I got to move these mugs. So, while we were in Antarctica, when the sun was due south or very nearly due south, the sun was due north of some locations in Australia. So we're going to use the same thing that he talked about, the very same thing that Nathan Oakley talked about, which was what? What did he talk about?
confirmed they're assessing it with level and plumb holding true when they do flat Earth geometry, Euclidean geometry, not sphere Earth geometry.
All right. So we're going to test his hypothesis or claim about Euclidean geometry. Now, when we were in Antarctica at about 80 degrees south, we measured an angle to the sun of about due south. So here, we're going to put North Pole, and then we're going to put Australia. Okay, so here is a side view of his Earth. North Pole is in the center, according to him, 80 degrees south latitude. And then here's Australia, is this kind of landmass here. And I'll show you what I mean on his map, on Nathan Oakley's map. We were down here, right here. We were in this vicinity here, and Australia is right here, right? There's Australia. So when the sun was north of Australia, okay, when there were people in Australia who would look due north and see there's the sun due north. Here's a Nathan's claim, flat Earth elevation angle to the sun looking north from Australia. Okay. Simultaneously, people were in Asia looking south, seeing the sun. Applying Euclidean geometry, we're going to do that in a second. Simultaneously, we were in right here looking due south, seeing the sun. Okay? So here's the side view, right? Right here. We're going to take this is the map. It's this way. Right? This is the map we're looking at. Like that. Right there. Okay? I want to make sure it's clear. Okay? And so we've got Asia here. Okay? Side view of Asia and Australia. Now, people in Australia saw the sun due north and measured a Euclidean angle to the sun of due north. And people were in Asia simultaneously measuring an angle to the sun due south. According to Nathan Oakley, these are flat Earth elevation angles. And you will see he will have a diagram not all that different from this that he'll have on screen. Okay? So people in Australia were looking due north to see the sun, and people in Asia were looking due south to see the sun. Now, I don't have any specific measurements, but Nathan, but we can pull them up if we wanted, because timeanddate.com lists all that. But the important thing is that people were looking due north and due south in these locations to see the sun. Now, I was, at the same time, I was here at nighttime, at local solar midnight, or very close to local solar midnight. Which way did I see the sun? Now, on this map here, this is the North Pole. So looking toward the North Pole is north, and looking away from the North Pole is south. So I was looking away from the North Pole, and I saw the sun. And I measured an angle to the sun of about 13 degrees. Now, 13 degrees. Now, I was almost as far away as you can get from Australia as possible on Nathan Oakley's map. This is the Euclidean geometry diagram of what happened there. This is Nathan Oakley's claim. Flat Earth elevation angles is his claim. Euclidean geometry is his claim. I'm testing his claim. This is his claim right here. Simultaneously, at the very same instant, people in Australia were looking due north and seeing the sun. People in Asia were looking due south and seeing the sun. And I was in Antarctica looking due south and seeing the sun. Now, obviously, this does not work. This is false. And how we know that is there's only one sun. We know there's only one sun because we also took pictures of the sun with the solar filter. And when we were here, we saw the sunspots on the sun had a particular pattern. People in Australia also took pictures of the sun. They saw the same pattern, rotated. rotated. Rotated, matching the globe hypothesis. But never mind that. We're testing the flat Earth hypothesis. It did not work. There's only one sun. We confirmed that. And it can't be in both places at the same time. So there's the setup. So every single time that Nathan says flat Earth elevation angles, he has been proven wrong. Every time he says that the geometry exists, he has never shown it. I just showed it. He doesn't have any geometry to support his claims. All right. While preparing the scene, enjoy this.
All right, stop. Scammer time. I am Nathan Oakley, and I am always right. Destroying my opponents, well, cause I mute their mic. So why would I ever stop my simple riff? I'll go after flat earthers when my views could use a lift. Now I can feed my girls from the money that I make. I'm a scammer, no man, it's Nathan Oakley, I don't matter. Every day on flat earth debates, can't trust this. Yeah, chocolate. What up, my homie? You can't trust this. 10th man, lift your head up for a second. Good boy. Thank you. You can't trust this. Golem. Nice morning show this morning. What was it? 3 viewers? Nice. Gaming time. It's cool.
All right. It's got to fade out. Okay, fade out. There we go. That was Jaren before he escaped even. So, the title of this is ironically named. Oh gosh, he's hideous. Ugh. I'm sorry. Ironically named YouTube and censorship. Yeah. YouTube censorship is what is ironically named. Okay, I'm sorry. Ugh. You were warned. Okay. All right. I fixed it temporarily. 3 years studying celestial navigation, and Nathan has never done a navigation problem. That's right. It's only claims. That's all they have is claims. Okay. That was Jaren doing that, and it's pretty funny. Pretty good work from Jaren. Okay. All right, here we go. Wait, no, that's not what I wanted. Go back. There we go.
All right, it's because we are so over the target when we talk about how you, me, and anybody who ever measures Earth measure it flat. There aren't any exceptions. It doesn't matter if you're Dave McKeegan, who measured Earth flat for a 24-hour period in Antarctica, but for the fact that he
Remember, I just showed that's a lie.
was outsmarted by his own tripod, he would have measured Earth flat for a 24-hour period using elevation angles to the sun, or Simon Dan measuring elevation angles to the sun with 1,000 plus participants all using surface level of Earth.
Just proven to be a lie.
For the elevation angles, 1,000 of them. So it doesn't matter who you are or your belief in a globe. You will, I will, we will, and it can only be, that's Earth, measured flat in all instances. So what does that mean for me? It means I get the mess around. I get generally jerked around by my commenters.
You should be, because once again, I just used 7th grade geometry to show that your claims are wrong. You've never once shown the actual geometry applied.
And YouTube, and I'm going to blame that on my computer and say that it's also connected to why I'm getting the run around and messed around with File Explorer. It's not, but that's how it feels. Anyway, Earth being measured flat is generally the reason why I believe the censorship is so horrendous. And then when I joined today's show, I was told by Sensual Goat that a videographer had produced a video suggesting that the statistics for flat Earth videos have plummeted. And this particular videographer is saying, oh, well, that's because nobody's interested. And Sensible Goat pointed out, well, no, obviously it's the case that Simon Dan's still getting plenty of views on Flat Earth videos. Dave McKeegan's getting plenty of views on Flat Earth videos where they detract from us. They can specifically put me in their title and thumbnail and tags and get hundreds of thousands of views. Do we get any? No. Obviously, if you're a Globe believer, you're going to somehow take it as read that the massive censorship that we're currently experiencing is because nobody's interested in the subject. Oh, but simultaneously, they are interested in Dan and Dave and Professor, not a Professor Dave, and all the rest of the anti-flat earthers who have all of the views funneled towards them. No, it's just YouTube are basically complete scumbags, and they are censoring me heavily, more heavily than ever, because we're talking about how me, you, and anybody who ever measures Earth measure it flat, and there aren't any exceptions.
Okay, one more reminder, he's lying. Earth is never measured flat. I tested it.
So the only thing that's not stressful is the argument that there isn't anymore. There is no debate about this subject. Earth was, is, and always will be measured flat by everybody in all circumstances that ever befall anybody if they want to measure Earth. Doesn't matter, like I said earlier, if you're a bull believer, you'll still require surface level, you'll still reference sea level, you'll still measure...
Oh yeah, sea level is a curve, by the way. How do we know that? Well, there is a definition. The definition of level, when referring to the surface of the Earth, is curve. Now, if you disagree, that's fine. You don't need to agree. You just need to support your claim. Okay. Surveyors use level to mean a curved line right here. And a horizontal line right there diverges from a level line. See that? So when you talk about a horizontal is horizontal to only one position on the surface of the Earth. As soon as you move to a different position, horizontal is a different surface. Horizontal is actually a plane tangent to the vertical vector. That's what horizontal is. So anyway, you don't get to redefine level. Level does not mean flat when referring to the surface of the Earth. All right. So when airplanes talk about level flight, they're talking about level flight in this here. It's relative to this line here. That's what level flight means. So you're being dishonest, flatties, when you substitute flat for level, when you equate them, when that's not the actual definition. Definition, adjective. You must use the adjective because you're describing something. So this is the first definition in the Webster's dictionary: having no part higher than another, conforming to the curvature of the liquid parts of the Earth's surface. Okay, and there's a collection of them I've put in right there. So now the important part is, of course, the fact that this is the definition used doesn't change the shape of the Earth. It doesn't declare that the Earth is curved because the definition is. Okay, it's because the measurements. That's how we know it's curved. The measurements are, and then after the measurements, we say, okay, well then level means a curve. So if you want the measurements, mctoon.net/r, mctoon.net/se, and you can search for reciprocal zenith angles if you want on my website, and you'll find many measurements of the Earth being matching this definition. Okay, so when I say to a flat earther, you can want level to mean flat. That's fine. You need to support it with evidence. I can support my claim with evidence. My basic entry point on my website for evidence for the shape of the Earth is burden of proof. mctoon.net/burden. I'm happy to provide the burden of proof. I'll take that right there. And here's a list to the other pages that are organized having that. So, all right.
Earth flat for your ball belief.
Join Planet.
Sorry, I'm not using my logged in account. I'm using the one with ads. Oh, the chat replay is there. Okay, hold on. I'm going to switch. So earlier today, the it wasn't there. The chat wasn't there, and the transcript wasn't there, and that's because you can't get those until after you hold on, 7:20, until after it renders it. No, oh my goodness, no, I can't take the big dog. I got all this stuff around me.
Guess who escaped from the sunroom?
I know, Donkey escaped from the sunroom. We figured it out. So I don't know. He can get out of his kennel. He yeah. Well, put a chair up or something. Okay, Penguin. Penguin's under the desk. What are you just trying to hide? Okay, Penguin, go. Go, Penguin. Go. Come on. Come on, Penguin, go. There you go. Igloo.
Igloo.
She doesn't want to. All right. Oh my goodness. All right. Well, put the thing up there. That's fine. It's a zoo. It's a zoo here. All right. What's that?
Soon we'll have one less cat.
Yeah. Okay. All right. What do you good? Can you shut this door?
Yeah.
All right.
Penguin is staying.
Penguin can stay in here. All right. Thank you. Oh my goodness. Okay. Crazy. I need a pet cam like Dave. Yes, that'd be funny. Okay. So here is, you know what? The chat replay. There we go. That's what we want. Okay, so I'll change the browser that's being used. Is it that one? Yes, it is. Okay. So I don't use I use an incognito window because I like to, I don't want to have anything come up that doxing, anyway, or whatever coming up. Anyway, here is, so there's a few things in here that are pretty funny. And that's why, and Sodbuster gets a mention in a little bit.
Which means I've got to get the mess around, it seems. I've got to be censored, it seems. I've got to struggle to pay my mortgage, it seems. I've got to take on extra jobs like flogging microphones and writing books just to cover my 10 years of experience on YouTube because YouTube are censoring me. And
oh, poor baby. Iron Iclonic says it's hilarious listening to Oakley moan about censorship while simultaneously deleting comments in the live chat. Come on, Nathan. Surely the mighty Papa Oakley doesn't make it this easy. Also, while I'm here, I emailed Nathan several times about setting up a debate. I was absolutely willing to pay your debate fee. If Oakley's that strapped for cash, how can he afford to ignore these emails? Oh, interesting. Let's see. Again, Iron Iclonic says, ever consider the reason Simon Dan and Professor Dave get as many views as they do is because the context is worth watching and supporting? You being here doesn't mean you're owed views. If you want that, maybe stop screaming and moaning about everything. Starting to sound like Arwen, and he's doing great these days. Oh, so good. Let's see. You know what? Where is that? There's a There's a comment. Let me see if it's missing. Here's a good one. Sucked in a Vacuum says, when someone uses a sextant from a ship, it is uncommon to put the sextant on the surface of the water. It is usually done from a few meters above the water. So what baseline is used, as it cannot be the surface of the ocean? Well, there is a missing comment that I was going to read. Where? What happened? What happened? Anyway. All right, let's keep going.
My comments and my replies to comments and hiding comments from me and tolerating people constantly using sock accounts to come back again and again and again and again and again. So YouTube are allowing people like Buck Sodbuster in my comment section. I'll put it up for the
Buck Sodbuster gets a comment. See?
audience to see exactly what I'm talking about. To constantly spam me in spite of being banned. So this Buck Sodbuster character, who's a liar, has been banned. So what's he doing? He's coming back with hundreds of sock accounts to continually spam abuse. Now, I am absolutely sick of YouTube tolerating this kind of garbage. So, in essence, this person's allowed to have multiple accounts with the exact same name. So if he gets banned, he can just come back again and again and again and again and again to harass me. It's
Oh, poor Nathan.
harassment. Now, it doesn't seem to matter that I report Buck Sodbuster to YouTube with the little flag button for harassment. Nothing changes. He's got hundreds of sock accounts.
Probably because it's not actually harassment.
In his delusional mind, we want to go over and talk to him. We don't. I've banned him, but he's still here. Why? Well, because YouTube tolerates it.
So the ironic thing is that Nathan is describing how he's censoring Buck Sodbuster.
As well, Nathan, is if YouTube had the chance, they'd use any retaliation that you make against him as vigilante justice, so therefore he'd be now the victim.
Yeah.
But Nathan's completely missing something. If YouTube wanted to get Flat Earth off YouTube, Nathan would have no channel at all. They didn't do that. The fact that he has a channel means that they're not doing what he thinks they're doing.
Exactly. So he's in the chat going, woohoo! Like what? Well done, you can be a scumbag in spite of me banning you multiple times, Buck Sodbuster. You know, you've gone around telling people that we really want to be participating in discussions with you on platforms we're not on. And we don't. But in spite of me banning this person multiple times, it doesn't seem to matter. Multiple sock accounts, hundreds of them, that you...
Can you imagine how hard it must be for Nathan?
YouTube tolerate. And as you correctly point out, if I was to retaliate, they would hold that against me in a heartbeat. But they'll tolerate harassment of me by this commenter.
He's the victim.
Allow him to have hundreds of accounts to harass me with. So I effectively can't ban this person. Why? Well, because YouTube allows people to have hundreds of sock accounts on the same name. I know.
Oh, Neil's funny there. Neil's my favorite. He's my favorite. He's little Joe Pesci.
Meanwhile, the actual argument is as follows. Earth is measured flat.
And I just proved that to be false.
By everyone, always and without exception. If you're in a plane, you're going to fly measuring your height off surface level.
No. Nobody uses the surface level in an airplane to measure their height. Modern planes use GPS, and for many decades they used air pressure. They didn't drop a string down to the surface. They didn't bring with them a tape measure.
For straight and level flight.
Remember, level is a curve. So when level flight is happening, they're following a curve. And straight means it's not turning left or right. That's what straight means, not flat.
Out by flight controllers on the ground when they tell you to ascend to a certain flight level. Flight level measured from sea level.
Sea level, which also is a curve. Proven by measurements.
And surface level, that's Earth being measured flat.
Curved.
There aren't any exceptions. If you want to develop a ball to believe in, you'll be measuring horizontal distance measurements and areas of equal altitude.
Ooh, areas of equal altitude. See? Areas of equal altitude means this map. That's what he means when he talks about areas of equal altitude.
From Polaris to develop the systems
Areas of equal altitude from Polaris. I told you.
that you use to wrap around a ball that are developed from flat Earth angle measurements and areas of equal elevation. These are all flat Earth prerequisites that are the only measurements of Earth, and they are all
Curved.
flat. So what do I get as a result of pointing out these facts? Well, I get censored.
You mocked, ridiculed, laughed at, humiliated, ostracized. Yeah, I mean, you earned it. Every single one of those you earned, right? Because none of what you said is true. I proved it.
Get harassed. Get told to jump off buildings. I get told that I'm abusing my kids.
Oh, well, that's because you are. Right?
So the ball
idea
is
what
the
you're talking
thing
about.
that's moving, Grumpus.
I missed that. Oh my god. Yeah. Right. So
Careful.
anything that's moving with regard to
Yeah, because you did that. It's still on your channel.
None of which is the case. The only thing that actually is the case is that you, me, and everybody who measures Earth measure it flat. Why should I?
Curved. We already went over it. So you see that diagram there? See that little diagram? That's what I drew. That's what I drew. You see that? That's a triangle, just like I drew. I used that triangle. I'm not strawmanning him. It's from his stream. It's from him. Right? It's right here. Right here. Here we go. Hold on. Right? It's so perfect. It's so perfect right here. That's it. That's this right here. Look at that. It's right there. That's it. I used it. Nathan, that's your Euclidean geometry I used.
I have to tolerate such abuse and scumbaggery from my opponents
Poor
for
baby.
being right and pointing out how Earth
You're not right though. And the fact that you keep saying it when you don't have any actual measurements, when you've never actually applied the geometry, is why you get ridiculed. You've earned it. Go show how the geometry works. Apply Euclidean geometry to those measurements. Show how it works. You don't. And that's why you deserve the ridicule.
Earth gets measured in all instances. It's not like I'm saying something radical. I'm talking about how Earth gets measured. YouTube is complicit in the soccer count going stalking. Gang stalking, rather. Yeah, thank you very much for the super chat. Really appreciate it. Yeah, completely complicit. They don't give a crap. Like,
Not generally, no. Generally, they don't care a whole lot about your feelings getting hurt. No, they don't. Because that's what you're talking about. You're getting hurt in the feels, right? Because Buck Sodbuster has said things that you don't like. Oh no, poor Nathan.
like I say, they're more than happy censor me for talking about the same subject matters that other people on the internet can get away with talking. If you're talking about measuring areas of equal elevation, but after you describe the flat Earth prerequisite elevation angle to form a circle of equal altitude, you then go on to say because they're on a ball, in contradiction of the actual measurement you've described.
No, actually, when you're on a sphere, these measurements, when the actual geometry, when you apply the actual geometry, it works. When you apply the actual geometry for flat Earth, it doesn't work. I can say this with 100% confidence because I can demonstrate the things. I can take the measurements that I personally took. I already did. Measurements that I personally took and test your claims, Nathan. I can test them. They don't work. I can test the claims for a globe and they work. That's where I get 100% confidence in my ability to laugh at you and to say you've earned all of this, people talking to you in ways that hurt you in the feels. Now, I'm not saying it's okay to say the more egregious things. right? He did mention jump off a building. I wouldn't back that. Though every once in a while, flat earthers like to claim that gravity doesn't exist. And you see somebody, well, prove it, jump off a building. You know, it's a little tongue in cheek. Right. But of course, if gravity didn't exist, then you could jump off a building, right? Couldn't you? Anyway, of course, Nathan has a problem, and that's that he's ignorant.
I'm ignorant, literally. I don't know.
That's right. Anyway, here we go.
Then you're okay on YouTube. YouTube will tolerate you. But if I say you measure Earth flat with areas of equal elevation, that means Earth's measured flat with areas of equal elevation. That's a modus ponens argument, a logical.
So algorithm says, Nathan also says that objects in the sky don't obey the laws of geometry. So Earth is measured flat based on elevation angles to objects that don't obey the laws of geometry. That's, of course. And that's the problem. Nathan knows this. He does. He knows that this measurement here, what he claims flat Earth Euclidean geometry, and this flat Earth Euclidean geometry, they don't work together. He knows that. The Polaris can't be 5,000 kilometers in elevation and 3,849 kilometers in elevation simultaneously. It can't. It doesn't work that way. So he says, on the one hand, this is the doublespeak. This is the 1984 doublespeak. Right? Just blatant lies. Blatant. But he doesn't care because he has one motivation. He doesn't want to get a job. He just wants to do this. And so how's he going to do it? Right? He needs to do it. He needs to spend every day doing this. He's got to pay the bills.
Consistency, as opposed to a logical inconsistency that violates the base measurement. When you say Earth's measured flat with areas of equal elevation and elevation angles off surface level.
But they're not surface level. As the commenter said, the sextant isn't put down into the water.
Because Earth's a ball, that's a contradiction in terms. Oh, well, then you could be monetized. You can make a living. Me saying Earth's measured flat because it's measured flat isn't tolerated. It's absolutely outrageous. And I'm frank.
It is tolerated. His channel exists. People are free to watch it. It's tolerated. It's not promoted, but it's tolerated.
I'm really sick of it. Now, it could be just because I'm incredibly unwell currently, but even when I'm sick, I haven't got enough money coming in to be able to have a day off sick. I've still got to run my YouTube channel.
Oh, poor baby. You know what I do if I'm sick? I call into work. I say I can't work today. I'm sick, and I get what's called paid time off. Right? It's kind of nice. Kind of nice. I get paid time off. PTO.
In the face of sickness. Why? Because that's what YouTube have deemed reasonable. It's reasonable that I'm harassed constantly. It's reasonable that people can leave comments claiming I beat my kids in my...
Oh. Well, why would somebody say such a thing?
So the ball is the thing that's moving, Grumpus.
I missed that. Oh my god. Yeah. Right, go on.
Careful.
Anything that's moving with regard to...
That's why people say that you beat your kids. Because the evidence says thus.
My own comment section, and then YouTube not show them to me in YouTube Studio. It's an outrage how we are treated, frankly.
He thinks he's the only one that has weird experiences with YouTube comments. We all have that.
But you own in a shop in a mall, and you ban someone from your shop, and then he turns up in a new set of clothes, and the mall insists that he's now allowed in because he's changed his clothes.
Yeah. Oh, well, he's got a hood on now. It's a different person.
It is exactly the same thing as that. Wow. And then you being the creator of videos. See, I've never created a video on YouTube. my comments, like when I leave a comment somewhere, it gets deleted, or it's weird that you're having the same issues as someone who's not actually making the content. I figured you'd be able to see literally everything on there, but that's crazy.
No, it started off with me having to go into newest first.
Yeah, I have to do the same thing. Everybody has the same experience, Nathan. It's not just you, little baby boy.
As opposed to unpublished comments. And then top comments became what I'd have to search for. Then top comments was removed from my YouTube studio, so I can't search top comments.
Neither can I, Nathan. You're not special.
Anymore at all. So in other words, I have to go into a browser. Now, when you're limited for time, doing 3 jobs...
Now remember, the reason why he's doing this is so he can censor people.
And your daily routine is made up of going through the comment section for 2 channels and then getting on with the rest of your day. But no, I know I'll have to add an extra hour on so I can go through each and every bloody video on the...
Ms. Perspective says it's sad to actually replay someone abusing a child. What does that prove? That proves that he beat his child. And when he says that he didn't, I will play it every time. So you can be prepared, everybody. Ms. Perspective, if this is a problem for you, every time he claims he didn't beat his child, I'm going to play the clip of him beating his child. Okay? There's your warning. If it's sensitive to you, I get it. It is sensitive. It enrages me. Absolutely enrages me. And it should enrage everybody. And if anybody meets him in person and that gets through their head, well, I would not be able to shed a tear if somebody did the same thing to Nathan. Right? Hi, Penguin. Hi, Penguin. I've had to kick Ms. Perspective before. Well, yeah, Ms. Perspective, if you cry about it, you can leave. If it's a problem for you, you don't need to be here. You can go over to Nathan Oakley's channel and you can comment on there about how much you'd want to have his balls in your mouth. Right?
Browser tab rather than studio, which is what it's designed for, so that I can find out if people are claiming I beat my kids, to remove these scumbags from my channel. And when I'm getting views at all, it's absolutely cobbled tool crap.
Alexis Fox, has he ever said anything about that clip trying to claim something else happened? Yes. He claimed that slap sound came from Sleeping Warrior for some reason on Sleeping Warrior's mic. Sleeping Warrior was silent before and after this. And that the crying sound, I don't remember what excuse he gave for the crying sound. It was obviously a lie.
And then other scumbags say, oh, look, nobody's interested in Flat Earth. They don't mention that there's plenty of views to go around and they're dished out to people like Dave McKeegan and Simon Dan and not Professor Dave Explains. They get plenty of views when covering Flat Earth. Apparently there's nobody interested. What, in looking at Flat Earth? No, we're just censored. Like, really heavily censored.
Simon Dan doesn't only cover Flat Earth, he measures Earth flat as well. And he got 1,000 of his mates to participate in exactly that.
Yeah. So YouTube will tolerate Simon Dan measuring Earth flat 1,000+ times from surface level for a surface level elevation angle measurement to the sun.
Now, I can take every single one of Simon Dan's angles that he did, and I can do the same geometry. And they will not work for Flat Earth. I can take every single one of Simon Dan's 1,000 measurements and apply and test it for the globe, and it will work. Nathan is lying.
Why? Well, because Dan's claiming that his flat Earth only measurement of surface level, it's called an elevation angle, elevation being off the surface, is a globe proof. Now, it's a contradiction in terms. It's a lie. But YouTube like lying to their audience. They're more than happy to promote bullshitters and liars like Simon Dan And when I point out, no, you're measuring surface level, it's part of the angle you are measuring, and you are measuring Earth flat thousands of times. Oh, well, then just don't let Nathan reach any audience. Don't even let him reach his own subscribers. Remove him, essentially, from the searches. And then what do we do with the people who do search for Flat Earth? Oh, well, we'll just put Simon Dan's video up for their indulgement while he...
I wish they'd put up my videos. That'd be nice, YouTube. Put mine up. Dan gets enough. Send them over to me.
He lies to them about a flat Earth only measurement proving a globe. No, you're violating the base principle of your measurement. But because he says that means Earth is globe after measuring Earth flat 1,000 times, yeah, Dan's okay. It's okay to lie to you, the audience. Me saying you measure Earth flat, there's nothing else to add.
I proved it's a lie, though, Nathan. And you can't provide the geometry contradicting what I just showed. I know that with 100% certainty. You can't do it. You can only claim it. And so this goes back to the cult indoctrination tactics. Right? You've got he's doing the repetition here. Constant repetition of teaching through chants, lectures, or rituals embedded belief deeply into members' minds. Right? These are just claims. This is doctrine of the Church of Nathan Oakley. Right? It is true because it's been said that it's true. That's it. You don't get to question it. And he uses fear and guilt manipulation to drive that into the panel members. Right? The panel members that love to just get up to where they can be on the show every day with him. Oh, it'd be so good. Oh, yay. And if they don't behave, if they don't do what they're supposed to do, they're scared and they get guilt laid on them. He says his daily housekeeping questions. If the members of his chat, his live panel there, if they don't respond quick enough, they get berated. If they don't respond correctly, they get berated. Fear and guilt is what tactic is being used there. And again, it's just pure faith doctrine about these elevation angles. He's never shown how it works.
Fact. Dan's measuring Earth flat. Do I need to draw a conclusion when it's a measurement he's making? Good.
So it's very telling. It's very telling, though, isn't it? Really, Nathan? Because we've got to the bare knuckles of this discussion now, and we can describe and discuss how actually Earth is measured, and that's been measured for all these years, and that's the truth.
See, you hear how his acolyte here, his cult member, is repeating back to Nathan the liturgy, as Algorithm said, the liturgy that Nathan has been putting out there. He's getting it repeated back to him by this guy. I can't quite read the name. I don't care. It's getting parroted back, right? It's this challenge response thing that you see in the churches that have a real strong liturgy, like Catholic churches, right? The priest will say something and then the whole congregation will say something back, right? I've been to a few Catholic services and I get surprised. Like I'm just sitting there and then all of a sudden everybody at the same time starts saying something. What the heck is this? Hendrick, would it be possible to jump into your live stream for a few minutes? I'd like to share something that'd be a bit cumbersome through chat. Send me an email. I'll read it just like a sentence so I know a little bit of the background before I just want to, because I'm cautious. I want to be cautious about that, but it could be. One deck. So anyway, one deck here, who's the one bottom center, who's the one speaking, is just repeating back. He's saying all this is the truth, right? You hear that this is the claim. This is this type of speaking that you get from religions. right? Religions claim that they have the truth, right? And that's, I'm not saying not to, I'm not saying it to knock religion. I'm saying that's what religions do. They claim to have the truth about something, okay? But it's a metaphysical claim, a spiritual claim, a claim about the non-physical world, typically is what it's about. Jesus is this, God is this, Muhammad is this, those types of things. Claims of those types of nature, religious, faith-based claims. Science is not that way, though. Science can be shown to be wrong. The door is always open to it. And if anybody says no, you know, you can't disprove this. It's not acceptable. Well, that's not then science. That's exited science, right? It's challenging when something has been thoroughly tested, and you want to contradict it. You think, well, you have a different explanation for it. Well, that's fine, but if there's a lot of evidence for it, then the bar is high, but it's still there. Anyway, so he's just Oakley's just got to be, you know, so excited to have his acolyte repeating back all of this liturgy to him.
And people don't want that information to go out there, so they'll do anything to try and stop it. And that's what they're doing with you.
Assassinate the character. Nathan's a character. Assassinate him. He's telling everybody the world's measured flat.
Because it is. By everyone, always, and without exception. That's the point. So when someone like Dave McKeegan comes along and says, Nathan says the NTSB need a flat earth. No, they've got measurements. It's called pitch data, Dave McKeegan. They're measuring flight level.
Flight level? Do you mean elevation? Or do you mean level the curve of the surface of the earth?
Off surface level with a measurement of surface level called mean sea level. You're seeing a repeating theme here. It's not like I'm...
Okay, well, but remember, mean sea level is an elevation. It's a distance from the center of the sphere. It's a curve. You don't get to redefine it. It's already got a definition right here, MCToon.net/level. Okay, level is a curve. Level is a curve. So mean sea level, that's a curve. Right here. It's a curve. You don't get to choose that. That's already been determined. If you want it to be different, if you think it's different, if you think these things are wrong, then you provide the measurements. But playing dictionary games doesn't change the fact that this is what is meant when the word level is used. And when surveyors and navigators use the word level, they mean this. That's what they mean. You don't get to redefine that.
I'm saying something outrageous, is it? These are facts. Planes fly in straight and level flight. Now, do I need to prove it? Yeah, it seemed past tense that we did have to prove it. And we did prove it with pitch data. Oh, yeah. That's measurements from black boxes used when investigating life and death. That's plane crashes.
Now, if you watched Dave McKeegan's video, super good video responding to Oakley, and pitch data is very interesting here. So I'll show you, and I'll a few things here. Oh, that's not a good one. Hold on. A little wobbly on that line. There we go. So here we got the curving surface of the earth as this is level, right? I'll even add level. Flerfs hate it when I do this, because they have abused the definition here, right? There's level. Now, pitch data. Now, the one thing that an airplane has is the vertical vector. An airplane doesn't know horizontal. There's no instrument in an airplane that knows horizontal, that knows vertical. The vertical vector is a vector. It's a line. So when you are at, when the airplane is at a certain, right, over here we've got the vertical vector right there that gravity gives us right here. And then horizontal is what? It's 90 degrees from that. But you have to start with the vertical vector. There's no way in an airplane to get horizontal without using the vertical vector or knowing some additional information about the shape of the Earth, like its radius. Right? So using the horizon. You need to know the radius for that. Anyway, and your elevation. So you've got your vertical vector, a line, right? And then you get a plane. Now this isn't just a line. It's actually a plane. It's a plane that's perpendicular or orthogonal to the vertical vector at that one point. So now pitch data is relative to this spot. So you've got your pitch data at that location, and typically the airplane is pitched up a little bit, a couple degrees, right there, right? There's your pitch data. That is relative to the vertical vector, which at this location is different than the vertical vector at this location and different than this location. So when he says pitch data, what he's doing is he is making a bunch of assumptions, or more likely he's intentionally lying. I don't know. This one I don't know. I think because he's not that smart. So anyway, so we've got the vertical vector here, right? And then the pitch is relative to, it's all relative to the vertical vector. Now you can, if you want, you can take the complement of the vertical vector, subtract 90, right? Subtract from 90. And that'll get you horizontal at that one spot. And then you can have your pitch relative to that. Now this is how it works on a globe. On flat Earth, you can also draw the diagram, right? So whether or not pitch data, you can show how it would work on both models, okay? So all alone, pitch data doesn't tell you anything. The Earth could be severely undulating, dramatically undulating, and the vertical vector could be all over the place constantly in huge variations, and you wouldn't know because the vertical vector would tell us the pitch. So I don't think that Nathan has watched McKeegan's video because it's absolutely devastating. Absolutely. Real Cygnus says, I think the main issue is that they don't know that down follows you. Yeah, that is the challenge, right? Because what they're doing, what the flat earthers are doing, is they're saying, when they say pitch data, they take the pitch data here and the vertical vector here, and when the plane is here, they want to use the same vertical vector as here. They want to declare that it's the same. Like, well, the pitch didn't change to go from here to here. Of course it didn't. That's not what changes between here and here. The vertical vector is what changes between here and here. That's what changes. Can we prove that? Of course we can prove that. There's measurements supporting that. But pitch data doesn't tell you either way. And he does this because he needs the money. He may not understand it. In that case, he's gullible, ignorant, sucks at geometry. If he does understand it, well, then he's just a grifter. It doesn't really matter. Neither is good. Neither is a good look. Both are what cult leaders do.
Now, again, am I saying something outrageous when I say that Earth is measured flat from sea level for straight and level flight. Is there something ambiguous in level flight? No, we got measurements to show that is exactly what it means. Flight level from surface level, nose up with respect to horizontal, axiomatically proving beyond all doubt that Earth is and can only be measured flat. But if you're Dave McKeegan...
Once again, I disprove that.
Egan, you'll say, well, that means it's not flat. Well, it does. It means we are measuring Earth flat. There's no conclusion needed. It's a statement of absolute fact. But I'm sure Dave's not struggling. I'm sure he's not in poor health and struggling to maintain his view count, while other shitbags out there claim that, oh, no one's interested in Flat Earth. Oh, they're plenty interested in what YouTube provides them, while my comments and replies are hidden from my audience. And so are my videos, hidden from my own subscription base, to the point where scumbags can show that statistically as being a massive drop-off in views. Well, my channel's still growing. I'm still gaining subscribers. But am I gaining views? Nah, because even the people who subscribe to me don't get delivered my content. They get delivered Dave's content while he lies to you about straight and level flight, measured off surface level, with mean sea...
Eric, why does Nathan just repeat his claim over and over? Because it's a cult. Repetition is a tactic of cult leaders.
Level and altitude, measured off the sea level. Perpendicular to a plane, that's what height is. Good.
Just going to say, it's all
enemy number one.
Sorry, Neil. I'm saying it's all art about face. I mean, when we talk about the mean sea level being the baseline for all measurements on Earth, straight and level flight, elevation angles, all what we're discussing, and people will turn around and say that's ludicrous and level's not level. Yet when you watch something like we watched yesterday or the day before of someone describing how latitude's measured from inside the Earth off a horizontal plane to a luminary, which is, outside of the ball that they're standing in, that's not ludicrous, is it?
No, it's not. It's just basic geometry.
It's just perfectly normal.
Yeah, if you're going to say, oh, well, we measure what's on screen now. This is what Dave McKeegan and Simon Dan measured. It's an elevation angle measurement from surface level.
Oh, look at that. Look at that diagram he has there. You see that? You see? I drew that diagram. I did right here. This is it. This is the diagram. I did this. I did this diagram because he did that diagram. Right here. Now, the diagram that he has on screen, I don't know where it came from. It's wrong. It is not correct in relation to the globe. Because there's this other, right? If you just had, except for that one arrow that's pointing straight up to the sun, that one makes it wrong. I don't know what that one's doing there. The rest of it is fine because you've got that vertical vector labeled up and you've got that plane. That plane is orthogonal to the vertical vector at that one point. Totally fine to do. That is not stating that that plane is the surface of the Earth. That plane is just orthogonal to up at that spot. And that plane will not be the same plane at a different spot on the surface of the Earth. So anyway, everything except for that one arrow over that's pointing straight up at the sun is fine. I don't know what that one's there for. Harry Warp says, I think that diagram is explaining celestial coordinates. Well, it could be, but the problem is that this all arrows to the sun with a very small margin of error are parallel. And so that shows that there is quite a significant deviation between those two angles. So that's why it doesn't work. Mark Van Wisco says, has Oakley actually done any of his own observations, or does he just faff about online? Well, that's what he does. But I'll be fair. You don't need to do the measurements yourself. You can take measurements that other people have done. That's fine. Just show the geometry. Go apply the geometry. I did that. Right? I wasn't in Australia or Asia measuring these angles. Right? I just took what other people did, or what we know to be the case from history, in fact, which is fine too. Right? And I showed how I applied his claims. His flat earth Euclidean geometry, I applied his claims, tested his claims, found out that his claims are false. So,
or sea level to the sun. One line forming the horizontal, the other forming the angle to the sun. Without the horizontal, you can have no angle. Now, this is a flat Earth prerequisite that Dave measured for 24 hours in Antarctica. I keep forgetting he's a complete idiot and was outsmarted by a freaking tripod. This
I don't know what he's talking about there.
fugly Gollum couldn't even cope with his own equipment. But he's the one who'll be promoted while he lies about his flat Earth measurements and lies about NTSB pitch data measured from sea level for altitude. That's level flight being measured, parallel with...
Notice the glass over on the left. What do you think's in that glass over on the left there? Anybody want to vote? What's in that little glass over there on the left? What do you think it is? I don't know. All right, let me look here. Because when I was in Antarctica, yeah, Zoomerate, I asked Flerf, why does latitude only go to 90 degrees? What, I don't know, what color is that? Is the contents there? it's a pismosa. Oh, gross. All right. I'm looking for where to go. That's not it there. So Dave and I were trying to we're working on his equatorial mount, and it was a bit of a challenge to get it oriented, because typically with a mount you have stars to look at. We didn't have any stars to look at when we were there, because the sun was up the whole time. So, and because it's so bright, it's actually really difficult to read things. And so I took this picture with my phone of the this is supposed to be the latitude that you're at, in order to get your equatorial mount at the right angle. So we were at 79.5 degrees about. So this was, and there's 15 degrees between. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so there's 5 gaps, right? And so we were at 79.5. So 75, 76, 77, 78 right there. 79.5 is going to be right in the middle there, right? So that's really good. But because we couldn't see any stars, we couldn't fine tune it. This is as close as we could get without having any additional stuff. So he used the equatorial mount, he put a motor on it. He had to go check about once an hour to make sure the sun was in frame. And it worked. He nailed it.
The ground? Yeah, of course he will. Because that's what YouTube wants you, my audience, to see. Not me, not the facts, laid out in the most crystal clear of terms. Yeah, when a flight controller calls out your flight level for the aircraft, measured with an altimeter, reference to sea level...
Yeah, but they didn't have a tape measure. See, he's just repeating. This is cult behavior here.
That means Earth's a ball? That's a complete contradiction in terms that you will be lied to about by people like Fugly Dave, who can't even use a freaking tripod. These idiots that can't even manage to use an equatorial...
Nathan, you've done this. You've used an equatorial mount, right? Have you used an equatorial mount in Antarctica when there were no stars to fine tune it? Did you? Because in order for you to talk down to him, you'd have to have done that, right? You've touched the equatorial mount and used it. No, you haven't.
Equatorial mount are dictating to you what the NTSB pitch data means. Yeah, because most people are lazy. They won't even look at the actual measured data. They won't even pay attention to the fact it's being described in a way that can only axiomatically be from a flat Earth.
So here's what's really funny. None of Nathan's followers have ever done any of the things that he's just accusing other people of not doing. Not one of them has ever looked at the data, has ever actually applied the geometry.
It's flight level. Does that mean a ball? Well, it does if you're watching Dave McKeegan, because he's having every single view funneled to him. That's what's happening. Please share the show. If you want to combat this, the only thing that we can do to overcome the horrendous YouTube censorship and the absolutely egregious situation where I can't even see my own freaking comments in YouTube Studio, and if I do respond, they get removed in favour of people claiming I abuse my kids, then you have to share the show.
Oh, uh-oh. Warning.
So the ball is the thing that's moving, Grumpus.
I missed that. Oh my god. Right, so,
Careful.
anything that's moving with regard to...
Disgusting person.
That's the only thing we can do to combat this horrendous treatment we receive at the hands of YouTube, who promote scumbags and liars and deceivers.
Oh, we could put out a book too.
We could. I'm waiting for the copy that exists to be sent to me by QE. Now, I don't want to get too stroppy with him because his messages, as far as I can see on Skype, haven't been read yet. But when I'm impatient and poorly, I just want to get my copy of my book back from him, and he hasn't sent it me yet, which is deeply irritating. Now, I'll hold off getting really stroppy with him for now, but it's going to reach a point where I start getting quite stroppy with the guy.
Just tell him to die like he said to Adam. Hey, what if you die? That's what I would do. Use his own wit against him.
Like I say, when
Probably like 10 miles deep in some woods, Nathan.
Probably. He's probably out playing with his bow and arrow or whatever. I don't care. What I do care about is getting my money increased so I don't have to be poorly and stressed about everything constantly with more.
Well, get a job. Go do something. I got a job. I do this on the side.
Multiple jobs. Great video about censorship. What? Somebody's deleted the comment that was sent on the super chatter, but thank you very much, whoever you were, for the super chat. I only got to read it for a second before it was deleted.
Right there. You see that? You see that there? I wonder what that said. Hey, Harnold. Harnold, what did you say in that? It's a bit blocked, but look at that. Right above it, another comment by Buck Sodbuster. Also not visible. But you know what? I do have some comments from Buck Sodbuster that I screenshotted. Let me put them up on screen here. Here we go. There's the before and after. The before, Buck Sodbuster says, how about you get a real job and provide for your family? Quit sitting on your butt, conning people out of their money. In a video where Nathan is whining like a little bitch about being censored, he censors. Now, he didn't do it. It was Divergent Droid that did it. Now, you'll notice when people get their comments on my channel blocked, I'm careful about it, and I don't like it. And Dick Wayne got earlier in this stream, got hidden on the channel for going after somebody. I'll unhide him after. He already sent me an email complaining about it. I'll unhide you, Dick. After this stream, I didn't need that, right? Don't go there, Dick Wayne. But now Buck Sodbuster's perfectly on point because Nathan is whining like a little bitch that he isn't getting enough money from YouTube to be his only source of income. Oh no. Buck Sodbuster has a really good point. Get a real job and provide for your family. No, he doesn't want to do that. And so it gets blocked. Also, the comment by Harnold was a link. He gave Nathan $2. Was a link to the video that we watched at the beginning of the stream, which I will play at the end of the stream as well.
I assume that was...
See, we need to combat YouTube. That's what you need to combat.
Say again, Neil.
You got to go against them. If this is happening where they're deleting comments, then what's the point? I mean, aren't you using YouTube? Aren't you a customer of theirs?
Well, strictly, I'm an employee, aren't I? They're paying me.
Yeah, and who's the bigger customer base, Neil? The Globers or the Flat Earthers?
They're both delivering the same information. I'm delivering the same information. When what is on screen is presented by me, I say this angle is a measured angle to Polaris. The little star is Polaris. The angle can't come from hell. You can't measure the angle from the center of a globe. It just means that the globe is a glorified protractor.
We're not sitting at the center of the globe and measuring it. This is just doing geometry. You don't have to go there in order to measure it. Right? I can determine the radius of an actual basketball without putting a ruler or a tape measure to the center of that basketball. There's other ways to do it. It's Euclidean geometry, Nathan. The thing that you said you support.
Confirmed they're assessing it with level and plumb holding true when they do flat earth geometry, Euclidean geometry, not sphere earth geometry.
Now, Euclidean geometry is fine. Now, of course, Euclidean geometry includes spheres and circles and triangles and dodecahedrons and icosahedrons. All sorts of different shapes are within Euclidean geometry. But Nathan's so dumb that he thinks that the only thing that you can measure with Euclidean geometry is a plane. Oh, he's so dumb.
About which you will measure surface level for the corresponding elevation angle. That's what it is. But they will lie to you and say, oh, yeah, we measure from center of hell. No, we don't. You can't get an elevation angle from hell. Oh, well, we measure it from the planar surface tangential to the ball. No, you...
There you go. The planar surface tangential to the ball. Now, I already covered. Remember, what is it that we use when we are on an airplane, or when we're using a theodolite, or when you're using your phone? What is it that the one thing we have is the vertical vector. Nothing else. When you have a vertical vector, you can, and a point on that vector or line, you can get define a plane by just taking 3 orthogonal points. That's all you need. But the entire plane then is orthogonal at that spot. But listen to what Nathan says here, because he doesn't understand geometry.
You don't. You measure it from the surface level. That's how it's measured. It's part of the angle. If you're only utilizing a single point with respect to the surface, then you haven't got a straight line for an angle.
You're not using a straight line from the surface. You're using the vertical vector, and the point on that line, the vector, the point on that is where you're at. That's how it's being measured. But he doesn't understand the geometry. Now, my this one here seems to have frozen. I'm reloading it here because it froze after Dimmock. I gotta read the Dimmock one. It's hilarious. Where'd it go? Absolutely hilarious. Did it go away? I gotta go to live chat. You see, it's not just you. YouTube's comments are a bit messy. Dimmock, there it is. Amazing. Make a mile-long teal. Earth curve put on objects along it. Let's film it side view and front view. Compare to flat Earth reality. No drop till unplumb. Put a plumb in center of your drop tilted curve all down. Wiser words have never been spoken.
So everything that they, the ballers, suggest requires Earth be measured flat and then converted into a position in hell so that you can believe you're on a ball based on the flat Earth measurement that you will require be measured from surface level. So if I say, well, we've measured surface level for an angle, but that means we're inside hell because Earth's a giant protractor, then what, I don't get censored because I'm bullshitting about being in hell?
I can't get my head around this. This is really like...
The reason why he can't get his head around is because he's not smart.
I can't find words to explain how I feel about this. That people are actually explaining and demonstrating that the measurements that are taken for elevation angles, for mapping latitude and longitude, are all taken inside the Earth on a flat plane. I mean, how retarded is that? I can't get my head around it. And how people will just listen to somebody.
Have I seen Steve's creepy van video on DMOC? Of course I have. It's amazing.
Explain that with no qualms. It's unbelievable.
Not only explain it with no qualms, they'll get promoted algorithmically because they're suggesting that you can be in hell measuring an angle from a flat plane, the equatorial plane.
You're not measuring it from the equatorial plane. You're measuring it from the plane that's orthogonal to your vertical vector, which is not ever the equatorial plane, though if you're on the North Pole or South Pole, it would be parallel to the equatorial plane. My goodness. Geometry is no good for him.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, me saying, well, just measuring the equatorial plane means heavy censorship.
It's fraudulent because we all know that isn't happening. It's an impossibility. Yet people are on YouTube with diagrams and explanations of how latitude grids and maps are being measured from the center of Earth. It's a lie.
Here he gets super confused about this, but first I got to read this. And the George said, "Big news! I started doing stand-up recently. Booked a gig at the comedy club that drains your physical strength. I'll be there all week." Week spelled W-E-A-K. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it is absolutely a lie. What do we actually measure? Well, on screen now, there's a depiction of the equatorial plane inside what can be described as a glorified protractor. Well, this circle is what they will later draw maps on, spherically. Like,
it's not a circle, it's a sphere.
Like you're measuring through a ball? No, you're just measuring from the equatorial equator plane, basically, like on screen.
No, nobody's measuring from the equatorial plane unless they're at the North Pole or South Pole. And that isn't even the equatorial plane. It's a plane that parallel to it. Seriously. So like 10 years. He brags about doing this for 10 years and he doesn't even have this basic geometry figured out.
Circle of equal elevation derived from Polaris. If Polaris is at your zenith, as depicted here, it is directly above your head and you'd be at the North Pole. But north, south, east and west are still flat-only directions, and all angles with respect to Polaris dropping towards the horizon, to its outside extremity, that would be the equator, are measured from this flat surface.
This is... He refuses, he pretends to not like this map, but he just described this exact map.
What's that? Oh, it's in a ball! No, it's not! Nobody's measuring angles inside a ball.
Nobody's claiming.
We measure them on a plane. And the plane we're standing on is described as the equatorial plane.
No.
It's the plane that Dave McKeegan's EQ, that's equatorial mount, is referencing when he leveled his tripod to measure the sun for a 24-hour period with respect to the elevation angle from surface level with a tool that's referencing the equatorial plane.
Show the geometry. Just show it. Instead of saying words, show the geometry. Go over it. You can't.
Now, but for the fact that Dave is a complete numpty and couldn't cope with his own equipment, he would have measured Earth flat for a full 24-hour period from the equatorial plane, like depicted here. Did he have a globe Earth wrapped around him? No, he did not. And suggesting that you've got parallel tangential planes means the surface level you're measuring has no surface reference to a ball. So what are we measuring? We're just measuring a plane. It's really simple when you know how Earth is measured and how it's applied. You just measure the surface level, like flights. But their straight and level flight parallel with surface level.
Repeating. Cult tactic.
That's what we measure. What's that? They convert from sphericity with gravitational 110-year out-of-date force pulling them. No, they don't.
110-year-old out of date. He's trying to claim that gravity is 110 years out of date. It's not. Well, I'll show you very briefly here. That's a whole different topic, but what he's trying to say is he's trying to claim that gravity was done away with, they say, by Einstein, but it wasn't. MCToon.net/Einstein, Einstein's own words. No one must think that Newton's great creation can be overthrown in any real sense by this or any other theory. He's talking about general theory of relativity. His clear and wide ideas will forever retain their significance as the foundation on which our modern conceptions of physics have been built. And there's the link to the actual citation. Anyway, Einstein's field equations is an expansion on Newton's law of gravity, and these four here give mathematical proofs of it. So within a reference frame where you're not moving exceedingly fast and you don't have a massive gravity well nearby, then the Newtonian gravity applies in that reference frame. Outside that reference frame, when considering all reference frames, then you need to do it differently. But when you're within a reference frame, like we are, then Newtonian gravity is correct. If you want to do it using Einstein's field equations, you can. It's more tedious, but you can get more precise if you need to be more precise, which is exceedingly rare to need. So Oakley seems a little salty about other people's success. You think? Well, let me do a couple things here that might tweak him off a little bit. Thank you so much to the people that have financially supported me, and hold on, let me see here. Yes, thank you so much. This is probably 10 times what he makes in a week. So I appreciate it. Icy Spin says Jay's mug budget is out of control. Very nice, Jay. It is. I appreciate it. I'll get these up on I have on like this lower shelf, but I'll put them up a little higher for next Tuesday. David Griffin says, could you change his face to Gollum's? That would be mean to Gollum. Kango44 says, disgusting inside and out, the Gollum of Flat Earth. Yes, he is. Harnold says, quality of raging narcissist. When things don't go their way, blame everything, as long as they don't have to admit failure or take responsibility. Yeah, it's YouTube's fault, according to Nathan. And the fact that he can't see all of his comments, that's YouTube trying to go after him, even though everybody else has the exact same problem. Tim Davis says, Trump made Antifa terrorist, so now I'm opposed to fascism. Welcome to OPFA. I don't know what OPFA is, but I did see something about that. Was that today? I don't know. I don't follow politics very closely. So, no apologies. It's so nice. It's so nice. Doesn't matter who you like. There's always somebody that didn't win the election. Somebody else, that election. It's so nice to not. I feel great. Kango44 says, Nathan, I'm sure YouTube would be interested in you hitting your kids on stream and screaming about people. I can't say it, but it rhymes with grape. Yeah, I won't even play that. That's just too much. That's nasty. Earthrise says, you're a special kind of stupid to Flerf in 2026. And it's not even 2026 yet, but yes, it does take a special stupid Flerf to do that. Kango44 for 20 New Zealand dollars, Kiwi bucks, says conspiracy theorists, anti-reality grifters are a cancer on society. He should not be tolerated. His channel should be banned. People's mental health is suffering because of the amount of utter lies on sites like YouTube. Well, you make a point. If Facebook, I think Facebook is worse. I think it's worse. Because I think that Facebook doesn't mind monetizing the conspiracy nonsense. And they don't do it through ads. They do it through the membership thing. So if you look at quite a few of the flat earthers that do like these reels on YouTube, there's like 4, 5, 6 of them that I see that just constantly are just repeating, just putting out the same memes from 2017, 2016, 2015, these flat earth memes. They just put it out there because, and without doing, without including, the rebuttals that have been in there, right? They just say, here it is. They just present it and that's it. And then, you read the comments. Fortunately, most of the comments are, you're an idiot. But there's people watching it still, and the idiots that are doing it are getting paid for it. And then they'll have you can join their membership thing, and people do. And Facebook doesn't mind. So I think Facebook's works at this point. But yep, it is an issue, but the solution is tough though, because I don't like censorship. I don't want to just hand over in a broad stroke that type of limitation on stuff. That's not good either. I don't know. I don't have a solution. I wish I did. Right? It'd be cool. But if there was, well, I don't know. There's ways to come around it. Maybe if there were ramifications for lying, like Nathan Oakley is doing, right there, maybe, I don't know, like financial ramifications, like he couldn't get a job. Well, okay, so there's that. He can't get it. Yeah. So Buck Sodbuster, when your comment was like, hey, why don't you go get a job? Part of the reason is he can't, right? What would Nathan do? How could Nathan go get employed? He can't. He can't. What's about JM Truth, Russian Vids, and 33UC? Well, yeah, they're they use pseudonyms. So I guess that's a little better. A little better for them. It reduces their personal risk. I don't know. I'm not here to solve that problem. I'm here to challenge them. That's my part. He could get a manual labor job. He could. Yep. And that would be, that'd be more honest than what he's doing now. Brenda Crate says, I dislike his use of axiom. Axioms accepted as self-evidently true. Science doesn't really do that. Well, science uses math and math uses axioms. So then what? It's kind of a foundational thing. An axiom is something that you accept as true. you don't prove that it's true, you accept it as true. And so geometry has a list of 5 axioms that they accept as true. And they are, when you look at them, you're like, yeah, okay, they all make sense, but there isn't a way to logically or formally prove them to be true. And geometry is very much about proofs. So manual labor, Nathan, it wouldn't work out well, would it? Well, sure, but he is saying flat is axiomatically true. Oh, there you go. Yes. So he's treating flat as an axiom, which it is not. So there is a problem. Algorithm says, here's a little donation for your new mug rack. I will be building a brand new everything shortly. When I'm moving to a different room. So, night guard at a human waste treatment facility. He's used to spewing and being around it, so that's a great fit. He could, in fact, provide raw material just right out of his mouth. So, Anthony Walter says, create a circle with a circumference as Earth in a CAD program. Zoom in as far as you can. Oh, wow, it looks straight. Exactly. It's called a manifold. That's the term in geometry, where when you zoom into something super far, right? That's curved there. But if you zoom way in, way in, within a certain margin of error, you can't identify the curve. So, and that's what it's like on the surface of the Earth here. We're zoomed so far in that you know, it takes 70 miles to get 1 degree of curve. So you're at the surface of water. You're like, oh, a mile away is how much? 1/70th of a degree of curve. A mile away, you can. How do you measure from here, right? I got my protractor. How am I going to measure with a protractor 1/70th of a degree a mile away? I need a mile long lever, and it can't bend. And go over there a mile away and say, oh, hey, what's the angle? Like that's you can't do it using that type of technique. PG Tony says his axiom is one that's rejected by every mathematician, physicist, astronomer, surveyor, and geodesist on the planet. Indeed it is. Indeed. Dimmock, you're hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. All right. We'll get a little more here from the little baby whiner.
Just measure parallel to the ground. That's what they do. There's no complicated gravity being accounted for in equipment when a flight controller tells a plane to ascend to a flight level, and then the black box records nose up to...
Well, it does use gravity because there's no way for that plane to measure the angle without it. Well, I suppose you can use the optical gyroscope, and knowing your latitude, you can then know the vertical vector as well without gravity. But when you were on the tarmac, when you first started, it will need the vertical vector of gravity to get its first orientation. Yeah, because otherwise it won't know, because it uses an accelerometer and an optical gyroscope to get its initial bearing. So
horizontal for the entirety of the straight and level flight measured off the measured sea level. That's just measuring Earth flat. But if you go to Simon Dan or you go to Dave McKeegan, they'll lie to you and get promoted.
So here's the cool thing about how, and Dave McKeegan went over this, but when you first start up the airplane, the commercial airplane that has these IRUs in them, that uses the 3-axis gyroscope to measure the amount of rotation in each of the planes of the gyroscope. Now, when it's initially strapped into the plane, the airplane, they know which axis is which way. So you wouldn't absolutely have to have an accelerometer. And so you say, okay, well, we've got the one going this way, right? And the one going this way, and the one going this way, right? And so that's our three axes of the optical gyroscope. And you say, oh, well, we got 15 degrees per hour here, and nothing here, nothing here. Well, we know we're on one of the poles, because it was all in this horizontal. But we got, typically you get some, all three of them get a portion of it. You say, well, we know which one is horizontal to the vertical vector. And so we know then by looking at all three of them and doing some Euclidean geometry, we can determine, because we know that the Earth rotates at 15 degrees per hour, we can determine the latitude that we're at based on the reading of those 3 axes and which ones are reading them. Pretty cool how it's done. Really cool. And you can't even fool it by saying, well, I'm at 15 degrees north latitude, but I will tell it that I'm at 15 degrees south latitude. It knows what hemisphere you're in. So now you've got that in the plane. Now you also can know your position through GPS. So let's say you fire that up and you're at the equator at 0 degrees latitude. Right now you fly for a while. Don't know, just don't pay any attention for a bit, and then you go again and you say, okay, we've now gotten, according to the GPS, we're now at 10 degrees north latitude. Okay, so now optical gyroscope, you're at 10 degrees north latitude. All of your measurements that you take in relation to having rotated by 10 degrees. It does that in the software, and when it displays on the screen your pitch yaw, and Buck Sidebuster's talking about it right now. It does that in relation to knowing that you've rotated 10 degrees, right? You've changed your orientation by 10 degrees. So if the Earth is flat and it does that, then it's going to be wrong. And you will not survive that trip because your elevation, your pitch, your yaw, not your elevation in this thing, right? Your pitch and yaw and your is going to be all wrong. So then you're going to crash, but you don't crash. So the fact that this is how these systems are manufactured and how the code is written, and it works, is proof the Earth is a globe. Because they do not, when the GPS says you've moved 10 degrees north, they do not assume that the gyroscope did not is at the same spot as when it was when it took off. They don't do that. That would be a problem. So.
By YouTube. Well, we get the mess around. Like I say, it's absolutely egregious and outrageous.
Yeah, that's the point I've been trying to get across to people, trying to explain to them how they take their measurements from the center of the Earth, and they're just putting them on the surface that are measured from the beginning on the surface. And it seems like something so simple to comprehend. People they put up a wall and they don't want to hear it.
Because you're wrong. You're just saying things. You're just repeating what Nathan told you to say, Neil. You gullible little idiot. You just parrot what Nathan told you to believe.
It's like unreal.
They've been doing it for years. Eratosthenes started, he measured angles on the surface of Earth, and then had to presume a 360 degree spherical sphere,
yes,
and put himself inside that with a line drawn across it that played.
He didn't put himself inside of it. He just applied geometry.
And then segment the angles from that plane outwards to the outward edge of the ball. They've been doing it all the time. It's stupid.
Yeah, but I try to point that out. Yeah, that's the surface you're showing me. You're showing me the surface. Nobody's going to the center of the Earth. This is how they duped everybody. And people just resist. They do not want to hear it. Then they take you into the, all the world is wrong and it's just you guys are right. No. It's just measured. That's it for everybody.
Yeah, we're not saying the whole world's wrong. Quite the contrary. I'm saying Dave McKeegan's measurement from surface level.
No, you're saying everybody's wrong. Because that's how everybody does it. I'm trying to reload this comments thing here.
Is Dave McKeegan's measurement from surface level. That's the end of the statement. There's nothing else to add. He's measuring Earth flat. So what, we're right and they're wrong? No, that's called the rock and the hard place. If they're wrong, because you say I'm wrong when I point out how they measure Earth flat, then they haven't got any Earth measurements. They rely on Earth being measured flat. That's how the ball gets created. If you don't measure Earth flat, you don't have any measurements to create a ball with. So you require Earth to be measured flat. That's why the censorship's so high. Before now, it was...
So many claims, no evidence.
A game where flat earthers painted the world as being a ball that didn't work. Rather than pointing out the ball works by measuring Earth flat. in all instances and without exception. Now that we're pointing out that, the game's not so fun anymore because it's not rigged for flat earthers to explain to ball earthers how if we ignore that travelling north is a flat-only direction on a compass that's flat, with horizontal linear distance measurements on the flat maps, with the flat scales for the flat distances...
This is just the cult indoctrination.
Then we can ignore all of the above and pretend north's above us. Inside a ball, on an equatorial plane that will measure the angles and reference the outside edge of a ball that we're not standing on. Then it's okay, because then we've ignored all flat earth prerequisites and elevation angle measurements of surface level, or sea level. We've ignored the parallel sky, and called Earth a protractor raptor.
The parallel sky. Oh, bless. He just made another claim of geometry. He did. This, right here. He's claimed that the sky is parallel, right? By that, he's meaning that all stars are at the same, right? They're embedded, or they're at some sort of a plane that's perpendicular, that's parallel to the flat Earth, right? Is that what he's claiming? I think that is.
Around us. And if we can just pretend that we haven't measured Earth at all, because
you haven't, Nathan. You haven't.
Measurements of Earth are flat, very inconvenient, and just argue about how a horizontal linear distance measurement, that's flat, would preclude us from seeing a geometric horizon we debunked 5 years ago. Yet then we've ignored all flat Earth prerequisites and angle measurements and distance measurements that require the surface be flat for us to suggest that there's a limitation to our view based on ball belief. Ignore every single flat Earth measurement and only argue about not seeing too far, when too far is based on us measuring Earth flat with horizontal distance and elevation off surface level. So, but for the fact that we must measure Earth flat to assert that we see too far, it'd be very convenient if we just ignored those flat Earth prerequisites and went straight to the see too far bit, like every numpty flat Earther has done for the last 10 years. And if they do, they'll get promoted.
All that repetition of liturgy.
Go ahead.
That's not the only... Sorry, I think Refracted wants to say something.
Go ahead.
Ooh, Refracted's a hillbilly. Let's hear him.
Oh no, I'm digging Nathan going off on it. Like that's exactly the problem.
Well, you have other, that's the reason why you have certain people going around saying the most important thing we have to prove is that Earth is not turning. Once we can prove that, then we could declare to everybody that the Earth is flat. Look, it's not moving.
Let's just point that out. If I say Earth is not a giant roast chicken, it is not incumbent on me to prove non-positivity. I don't have to go away and debunk somebody else's claim that Earth isn't something. If you want to suggest...
But you're claiming Earth is something. Why are you going through this?
That it is turning, then the burden of proof is on you.
Oh, easy. Got it. Hold on. Here we go. MCToon.net/spin. Here it is. Here is the evidence for the Earth rotating. MCToon.net/spin. Optical gyroscopes measured it. A whole bunch of them there. Non-optical things have measured it as well. I'll give you there's a few of them here. My favorite is there it is. They got a 2-centimeter plastic ball and a 15 Tesla magnet. And they suspended that 2-centimeter ball using that magnet, and they measured the rotation of the Earth. Amazing. And if you don't want anything new, you can use this old one here, an apparatus for measuring the speed of rotation of the Earth. There it is. You can download it and you can look at it right there. There it is. They built this. So I have done what Nathan just said I needed to do. I've provided support for my claim. Now, if your claim, Flatties, is that those measurements are wrong, now you have the burden to show step by step, in detail, how they're wrong.
There is absolutely no requirement whatsoever for me to prove non-positivity. I don't need to prove it's not turning. You need to prove it is.
Done.
And the globe Earth assertion of turning comes with Coriolis effect. That would be a non-inertial turning reference frame, turning beneath an inertial reference frame to show a not actual deflection of all items in the inertial frame of reference.
Oh, well, there you go. We can do that as well. mctoon.net/Coriolis. Right there. So this is the my page on Coriolis. A little bit of math. You can do the math there, or you can say, well, you know, and Dave McKeegan, he went over this as well. The Coriolis for artillery. Here's some documentation from the military showing that they do in fact use Coriolis when they're solving their flight plans, their firing solutions, as they say. So production of firing tables for cannon artillery, 1967. Here you go. Range tables for 16-inch 50 caliber gun, Mark D, October 1941. 1941. That goes back a while. So there you go. It is in the tactics, techniques, and procedures for field artillery manual cannon gunnery, table H, table I. These are used by the military. So this is Coriolis, and so there's an application of Coriolis. Now we can go also to long range shooting and several different places where they show how they use it, how they use Coriolis in shooting. Now this, oh, that one's gone. I gotta have to fix up that page. Here's an article on it. Here's another, and this is really cool. This is a scope that includes computation for Coriolis in the scope. In the scope. And it moves the crosshairs to compensate for multiple things, including Coriolis. Right there. Spotlight features. You can turn it on and off. Right? So I suppose, Flatties, you could try it. Turn it off at 2 miles. See how it does. Here's another flight computer that does the same thing. Correction for the spin of the Earth. Coriolis operator inputs the latitude on the globe and direction of fire from true north. There you go. PhD Tony says the existence of geostropic winds instantly demonstrates Coriolis. Big Fish V32 says, so why is he always trying to prove Earth is not a globe? Trying to prove non-positivity. That's an interesting observation. Now, Nathan always misunderstands Coriolis. He never has once correctly described Coriolis. Never once. Eric E is asking, do you have any estimate of how much Nathan is making spouting his nonsense nonstop on YouTube? All I have is from after Ranty exited Flat Earth, and the goal that Nathan had, that according to what Ranty knew, was £800 a month. And that was a few years ago. It's maybe a little more now that he needs to make in order to not have to get a job. But I don't know for sure. That's all I know. Is just kind of a rough number.
As observed from the non-inertial turning frame of reference Earth as a sphere is claimed to be. Now, do I need to go through that, even though I can
He's going to get it wrong.
Concisely debunk the assertion that we're not turning underneath aeroplanes 1,000 miles an hour at the equator? We're not. We'd notice. But it's your positive claim.
How do you know that? How would you notice? So go back to this here. Coriolis is maximized at the poles and minimized, it's 0 at the equator. And did you notice he just talked about the equator? He doesn't even know that Coriolis is minimized at the equator. He said we would notice Coriolis at the equator at 1,000 miles an hour. 1,000 miles an hour is not Coriolis. The screen done froze. Let me make with the fixie. All right. Come on, there it is. Okay. So, So again, the Coriolis here, you take the latitude right here, sine of A is the latitude here. And at the equator, this term goes to 0. So the Coriolis force, the lateral force that you get from Coriolis is 0 at the equator. So, but he always gets it wrong. Always gets it wrong. So, NetTube user says Nathan needs to see a psychiatrist for many reasons. Anger issues, pathological lying, delusions, irrationality, egocentrism, narcissism, violence, a perfect candidate for a lunatic asylum. Oh, yeah. To be fair, Clive Wells, many Globers don't understand the Coriolis effect. You're right. But after 10 years, and after constantly going on about Coriolis, Nathan should get it right. Right? If you're going to use it as a talking point constantly, you better get it right. So, somebody, who was it that was asking? I forgot the name. Somebody's asking if they could come on my show. Right? Somebody that I don't really recognize. They said, send me an email. I haven't gotten an email. So who was it? Anyway, whoever it was, if you want to come on and it's too cumbersome to put in a text mess into a chat, that's okay. You potentially can, but I'm not going to do it without knowing. So, all right. Now, Harnold said that at some point he talks about his kids and that they and where they need to be. So I'm going to see if I can look in the transcript for something of that. Because we haven't gotten to it yet. We're 35 minutes in. Oh, there it is. Okay, so I'm going to jump from 35 up to here. Oh man, he just cried up about this for the whole time.
Come out and go and subscribe to Lennox.
Listen, there's been a delay because certain things have transpired in between. But I understand you're in financial distress. But don't rush to put it out before it's completed. Everybody's got to get together and got to get this thing going, like we were going before this thing happened, and get the book out properly. Hang in there, Nathan.
Well, like I say.
All right, it was Hendrik. Okay, yeah, Hendrik. Send me. Okay. All right.
At the moment, I'm having to e-beg. Like I hate having to say this because typically I can say, well, I'm just on the right side of the knife edge. Well, it deeply upsets me when I'm not on the right side of the knife edge because
get a job.
Suddenly it affects the rest of my family around me. Like it puts undue pressure on my wife. And I don't like that. You know, generally speaking, for a start, let's just point this out. While I do this show each day, my kids and wife are on the other side of that door over there. Now, I'm in the communal space, lounge, if you will, which completely gets converted every single day I do the show. Let's say I bring out cameras, I bring out lights, I bring out microphones. All of the equipment comes out from the sides and is now around. So there's hot lamps everywhere, cameras, microphones, expensive equipment, monitors, projectors sometimes, although when it's summer I don't like it because it's too hot. But there's equipment. In other words, it's not conducive for kids to be running around. Well, that means that in a 2-bedroom apartment, my wife and kids have to endure being in a very limited amount of space for however long I do the show for. Now, they have put up with this crap for 10 years. Now, obviously, the kids haven't been alive for 10 years. My eldest daughter's only 9, but you get the idea of what I'm pointing out. They're very tolerant in the incredibly small space that we occupy so that I don't have to have my audience put up with my kids making noise in the background for the most part. Now, their tolerance is pushed to the absolute limit. When I go, I am actually struggling financially and I'm putting my hand out, they don't or shouldn't have to put up with that when I've been 10 years as a YouTuber.
That's right. Call it quits, Nathan. You failed.
Fighting for the greater good of Flat Earth, and what I'm fighting against isn't my inability to produce videos of a decent quality. It isn't my inability to present well or string a sentence together. It isn't my inability to use a tripod like Fugly Dave McKeegan. I'm not incompetent. But the people who are get all the views directed towards them.
Yeah, Brenda, why the F does he need all that? He just runs a slideshow. Why isn't he in the bedroom and the kids get the and the wife get the common area. Go in the bedroom. Set it up in the closet. You don't need to take over the living room for this. His ego.
While other videographers suggest that Flat Earth's dying when they look at the statistics and suggest that statistically Flat Earth's on a decline. No, Flat Earth's being censored. But people still search it.
Because you all failed, Nathan. You all failed. You make these claims about measuring and don't have them.
And get directed to our opponents. So 10 years into the game, I've got to stick my cap out in front of me and explain to my wife why I'm struggling to pay our mortgages. Very, very upsetting. But that's the way it is.
Kango 44. More lies. Why does he need an effing soundstage setup? It looks like crap. Yeah, that he could put up a green screen in the closet and then put whatever he wants behind. Magical Cat Girl says, give him the storage space in the basement or the apartment building's trash room. Absolutely. Alyssum says, just joined, and he just admitted that he abandoned his family for the Flat Earth cult and has failed his primary purpose as a father to provide for his family. Yep.
And explain to my wife why I'm struggling to pay our mortgages. Very, very upsetting. But that's the way it is. Somebody's just sent me a PayPal, so I should read.
Why? So you said mortgages plural. I'm curious about that. I have one singular. What happened to the? There it is. Okay. I have one. I don't. Does he have a second mortgage on the house? Is there a second mortgage on a different house? What? I don't know what. Yeah, a 2-bedroom apartment with mortgages. Nathan, you have failed. You've been at this 10 years and you've failed. Get a job. This is a hobby.
Check out who that is. Might be one of my eBay sales. Might be somebody being generous. We'll find out in a moment.
See, there you go. People are going to help.
Shout out to Michael. Thank you very much indeed for the super chat. The PayPal donation, Michael, really is appreciated. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
People will gather together and they will put their funds together and they will get you through this time. You have a great community here. I don't have to tell you that. You know you do. But just don't rush to get it out before it's time.
Also, though, on that, I'm not interfering, but you know what happened with Adam. You need constant copies of that up-to-date copy in places or with the trustworthy people, so that you've all got it to hand. Just saying.
Buried under a tree, which only you know.
Say again?
Oh, never mind.
Under a tree. I won't ask to repeat.
He said it's buried under a tree, which only you know. Okay, well, here's the deal. This thing has to get worked on. We gotta start getting busy again. Certain circumstances cause us to get lackadaisical, and now it's just like it feels like it's getting pushed off, and it's not getting that much attention. This needs the final attention that it needs to get it out before the holidays. Because I have people that I want to buy copies for. This is very important to get it out by the holiday.
Well, that's down to me. To be honest, Neil, the pressure in that regard will go on to me. Once I get hold of it, I need to go through it and do a final draft, and then it'll go off to the publisher. But that is down to me actually being able to do it. And for that, I can't do it with assistance. It's got to be me going through it to do that final drafting process. And obviously, I'm eternally grateful to everyone's helped up until this point. But yeah, I do need to retake ownership of it and get the work done to finalise it and then get it out to the publisher. But that will happen in time. I'm not going to rush it. I will get a good book finished in due course. But it doesn't alter that. What annoys me more is that the only reason that book was initially created was to mitigate for my financial hardship. So here we are, 2 years later, and it still isn't published. That's frustrating. But there we go. Putting my hand out is frustrating. Having to sell microphones is frustrating. It's all frustrating. Like I say, the only thing that isn't frustrating is the argument itself. And this is why people support me, right? This is why I'm receiving.
But you're wrong about it. I proved it. I proved you're wrong. Nathan, this is a challenge to you. Show the geometry for all of the claims that you make about geometry. I know you won't. Since you can't, you should be in the poorhouse. After 10 years, you can't support your claim. 10 years, and you can't even support it, the claim, at all. You should 100% be able to support your claim, but you can't. You are, Nathan Oakley, you are a failure in life. A failure. Nathan, you can't support your family. You're a failure. You can't pay your 2 mortgages. I don't know why you have 2 mortgages. Whatever. You're a failure. You can't provide the geometry for the things you claim. You're a failure. You can't provide the measurements that match the geometry going along with all of the things you claim about the measurements and geometry. None of this works together. All you have is saying it because you're a failure. You should stop doing this. Go get a proper job and take care of your family. If you want to do this on the side, then do it on the side. But you're a failure. You have failed your family. I'm surprised they stick with you. There was a rumor. I didn't like that it was intentionally a rumor that they had already left. Right? I didn't think it was correct. But I don't know. Maybe it's true and you're just lying about them being on the other side of that door. Right? What a failure you are. So sad for your family.
Receiving PayPals and Patreonage and Super Chats. Because when it comes to the actual argument, there isn't one. There's no argument here. Earth is measured flat by everyone, always and without exception.
There goes that cult indoctrination again. He doesn't have it. He just says it.
If you don't believe me, just go and look at any of your guru's measurements if you're a ball believer. Go and look at Simon Dan measuring Earth flat 1,000 times with his participating audience and tell me that Earth isn't measured flat. Because then you'll be in that hard place where you have to deny the fundamental base premise of Earth measurement used by Simon Dan to suggest, by way of egregious lies and deceit, that you're on a ball.
Show the math for it.
When measuring Earth flat. Because that's what he's doing. So in terms of the argument, we've finally reached a point where there isn't one. There is no argument about Dave McKeegan's 24-hour measurements of Antarctic elevation angles. But for the fact that he was outsmarted by his own tripod, the Dumbo. He'd have measured Earth flat for 24 hours off.
I don't know why he's going about the tripod. The tripod was to hold the camera, not to measure angles. I measured angles. I measured the angles. I've got the angle measurements. I posted it on my channel. I got the angle measurements. At local solar midnight, the sun was 13 degrees angular elevation. It's right here. 13 degrees. Due south. So the sun was over here. Sun was here. Same time, exact same time. The sun was here. Over flat Earth. I don't know how it works. Seems to me that you got a little bit of a problem there. Some sort of an issue there. There is no argument? Well, so far you've put up no argument for this. This doesn't work. You have no argument. 13 degrees. And then 12 hours later is 34 degrees. Due north. Okay? So how does that work? Show the geometry for it. In Antarctica, on the map that you constantly describe. This one. This is the map that you constantly describe. Maybe you don't think this is the map. Show us the map that is the right map. You keep describing this one. You keep going back to this one. When you say elevation angles to Polaris, circle of equal altitude, that's this map. Going to the extremity of where you can measure that angle to Polaris, the equator, this map. So whatever map you want to swap a different map in, don't care. You can't show the geometry, you're a failure. You should get mocked and ridiculed. Your family should say, stop it. It's time to stop. You can't explain how it works. You can only do a religious liturgy doctrine claim about how it works, but it's not correct. It doesn't match reality. Alyssum says his video will be Exhibit 1 at the divorce hearing for custody. His biggest victims are his own kids. They will be bullied for being related to him. One can hope that they have some way to distance themselves. I would hope that his wife at some point gets away. I don't know. Maybe she likes it anyway. But certainly the kids are the innocent victims here, and they have at some point hopefully can change their name, I guess. I don't know.
Surface level. The equatorial plane is equatorial mount that he couldn't quite cope with using. That's a flat planar measurement of surface level for an angle to be an angle. What's that? It wasn't a flat measurement, so you haven't got any measurements then. You haven't got any angle measurements.
Yeah, you can take an angle measurement from a curved surface. It's not that hard. I got a protractor right here. The top of this, it really isn't that hard. Watch this. Watch this. I'll draw a curve. I'll trace the curve. Right there. I traced the curve. Right now, I'm going to choose a point on that right there. Right there, that little dot right there. And now I will take a line, and I'll do my best at getting it tangent to the surface there. Right there. Now, I'm going to measure an angle to something else. It's a funny shaped cloud. But it's not straight. That cloud is not straight, it's curving. And so I will measure an angle to it. Right there. So if we're standing on the surface here, there's the angle to the cloud. And now I can put the protractor right up here. And I can do what Nathan said is not possible. It's not even a challenge. Put the protractor on. I don't have the camera up right now. Because I'll be in a different office here. But right. It's right there. This is right here. This is impossible to a flat earther. They think that this is not possible. The angle that I just measured there is 145, starting at the other side there. So it's 180 minus 145. Think of that, right? How does that work? How does that work, Nathan? Is that impossible, what I just did? Must be impossible. According to Nathan, what I did can't happen. So now also what Nathan does is he'll take this, and when you do this, and this, I use this line here, it's a plane in 3 dimensions, and he will reify this plane into declaring that this plane is the surface of the earth instead of this being the surface of the earth. The fact that we use this tangent doesn't change the fact of this curve being a curve. Alyssum says, for someone who insults the appearance of others, he desperately needs to see a dentist. Oakley is nothing but bad vibes, sending good vibes from Oz. Thank you very much, Alyssum. Appreciate that. In the Life says, for a space denier, he looks like an alien. He looks like Abe's Odyssey from PlayStation. We got Kango 44 says more live. Okay, soundstage. Icy Spin has a $1 super chat. You know what that means? That means this.
Now I'd like to know how my balls taste.
Gross. Gross.
I'm ignorant.
Yes, that's correct. All right. See if he finishes up about his whining about his kids.
To the sun for 24 hours, but for the fact that Dave McKeegan couldn't cope with the tripod. Yeah, they are flat Earth measurements. They're angles off surface level. That's exactly what they are. Reference to the equatorial plane you think is in hell.
There's no. Oh my God, so much wrong. Okay, he's just looped back around. Okay, what's it? Nathan, you're a failure in life. You failed your family. You failed to provide evidence for your claims. You say that they're flat Earth angle measurements, but you don't actually show the geometry, the Euclidean geometry that you say works. The Sun Express is in tonight's episode of hilarious African communities having a go at local engineering. I propose some fun by YouTuber Afric Leo, and then a YouTube link to it. So, well, hold on a second. I'll have a look at it quick. Unless it's really short, I'll have to save it for later. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that looks funny. I'll save that for a future one. That one looks really good. It's yep, African. It's speaking of failures. It's a bunch of failures. Anyway, let me remind you one more time that Nathan Oakley is a failure. And I got the hiccups. And also that he is a dollar store cult leader. Harnold made this video. I'll put it in the description, and you can go watch it 1,000 times, every one of you. Until next time, which will be on Tuesday, and we'll see you all then.
Oakley's got the mute button, things that makes him strong. User mics on science, cause he knows he's wrong. Peppermill and butt plugs on his nightstand glow. Creepy cam on his future wife, like that's a healthy show. Measures, yeah, sure it does. Science is fake, cause Nathan says it was. Dollar store cult leader with his insults, cheap arguments weaker than the company he keeps. You got my balls in your mouth, that's your greatest line. I'm glad your kids now think that language is fine. Cash fall down, go boom boom. Yeah, go scream that real loud. Telling lies on YouTube, way to make your family proud. Slaps his kid on stream to silence her cry. Calls Dave a troll, no woman would try. Obsessed with numbers, but can't do the math. Screaming pseudoscience, talking out of his ass. She can't prove it's real, the stars prove it flat. Sexons don't work on balls, and that's a fact. Vindictive, childish insults on loop. The echo chamber leader of a deluded truth. You've got my balls in your mouth, that's how you win debates. You're a dishonest grifter spreading nonsense and hate. Cast fall down, go boom boom. Nathan's brain on repeat. Debates like playground fights, except with more defeat. New button warrior, coward in disguise. Screaming at real science, spewing nothing but lies.